When this kunai was less than a centimeter away from Mizuki Ryosuke's throat, he decided not to pretend, and he had a showdown. Under the close combat, Mizuki Ryosuke could clearly see the murderous aura on his opponent's hideous face, and even in those beast-like pupils, at the moment there was only one who wanted to shatter him. Desires of corpses. Mizuki Ryosuke looked helpless. He couldn't understand why Jonan from Rock Shinobi appeared so close to Kirigakure. It was originally just an ordinary reconnaissance mission, but unexpectedly encountered Jonan from the hostile ninja village. There must be a deeper reason behind this. Only in this way, Mizuki Ryosuke also had to expose some cards. He didn't want to do this at all. How bad it is to fight and kill. Isn't it bad for everyone to paddle each other and pretend to act twice? Why bother? But the reality is so cruel. In this ninja world, there are only endless killings. If you don't want to kill, you will be killed. That being the case, a icy cold light flashed in Mizuki Ryosuke's eyes. Peeved. As kunai completely slashed Mizuki Ryosuke's neck, there was a glint of pleasure in the eyes of Rock Shinobi in front of him. But in the next second, everything turned into panic. Mizuki Ryosuke, who was supposed to be killed by him, turned into a puddle of clear water. What? Water split. When Rock Shinobi was shocked, it turned out that he had been entangled with him here, but it was just a water break. Another second. With a big head soaring into the sky, looking at the blue sky, the last thought flashed in this Rock Shinobi's mind. So fast. After that, the round head rolled on the ground twice before landing on the soles of Mizuki Ryosuke's feet. Spike. The last picture Rock Shinobi saw before his consciousness fell into silence was Mizuki Ryosuke's icy profile face as sharp as a knife, and his pair of eyes as deep as the ocean. With this man's terrifying strength, he can be killed instantly from the very beginning. Why bother with him for so long? The Rock Shinobi died, never knowing what was going on. He, Stone Duff, a rising star of Rock Shinobi in the future, has just fallen at this moment. First use Water Body to deceive the enemy, and then use the secret technique to cut off the enemy's head with lightning speed. Even that is still not enough. The cold glow in Mizuki Ryosuke's eyes still hasn't subsided. Because he is very clear in his heart, is there any strange technique in the ninja world? Even dead, impure world reincarnation can pull you out of the coffin. So even if the head is cut off, what if this guy can save him from death? If you are not dead, what if you take such a big revenge and call back a group of friends and relatives to seek revenge? Now that you decide to do it, you can avoid all future troubles. Mizuki Ryosuke made a seal with one hand, and then spit out a slender ice needle directly from his mouth. Ice escape, thousands of techniques, peeved. The ice needle penetrated through Rock Shinobi's eyeball, and the next moment Rock Shinobi's brain was completely frozen by the ice needle and then shattered. At this time, even if this person has some heaven-defying secret technique, I am afraid that he will not be able to perform it. Ah. Mizuki Ryosuke sighed deeply. Looking at the corpse of Rock Shinobi separated from the corpse on the ground, a hint of helplessness flashed in his eyes. For some reason, the current Mizuki Ryosuke can't completely destroy this Rock Shinobi, and he can only use this method. Trouble. Mizuki Ryosuke looked up and saw only him in the Rock Shinobi's corpse left and right. No matter how he explained it, it was only himself who killed the Rock Shinobi. So, he quickly moved around, quickly forging a struggle battlefield, and the surroundings suddenly became a mess. Call. It's still one step away. After a while, Mizuki Ryosuke seemed to have made up his mind. In the next second, his right hand suddenly began to bulge, and the originally slender arm instantly bulged with strong and terrifying muscles. Boom. An unexpected thing happened. Mizuki Ryosuke punched him directly in the chest. Under the terrifying force, Mizuki Ryosuke immediately spit out a mouthful of blood, and his breath instantly became sluggish. Cough cough. Damn it, you've used up your strength. Second generation's goal is the luxurious arm technique, which really lives up to its reputation. But that's fine. After whispering something, a look of satisfaction flashed in Mizuki Ryosuke's eyes, and then he fell heavily on the ground and lost consciousness. The Hao Shui wrist technique is the secret ninjutsu of the Ghost Lamp family in the original book, which can give individuals a very strong physical enhancement in a short period of time. Of course, this loss of consciousness is just disguised. With Mizuki Ryosuke's prudent character, of course, he will not let himself completely lose consciousness and lie in the wilderness. After Ryosuke was in a coma for a long time, a middle-aged male ninja with a medium build and fair skin arrived late. Ryosuke. This kid, The middle-aged man turned pale when he saw the mess around him and the comatose Ryosuke and the separated rock shinobi. Whoosh. The man flashed a body flicker technique directly to Mizuki Ryosuke's side, and then checked out Mizuki Ryosuke's state. It can be seen that the man's body is dusty at the moment, and the white clothes are still stained with a little bloodline and dust. It must have been a bloody battle just now. Kirishima Morita, a senior Jonan of Mist Shinobi Ninja Village, is also a Jonan familiar with Mizuki Ryosuke. Seeing this, Mizuki Ryosuke nodded secretly in his heart. It seemed that at least one of the 3 genins in the team had successfully escaped back to the village and moved back to the rescue. After confirming that Mizuki Ryosuke was okay, Kirishima Morita got up to look at the body of rock shinobi on the side. This is gravel, duff. This kid Ryosuke is very promising. A flash of surprise flashed in Kirishima Morita's eyes, and then he carried the comatose Mizuki Ryosuke in one hand and rock shinobi's head in the other, and walked into the distance. A complete ninja head is extremely valuable in the ninja world. What's more, gravel, duff is a Jonan, and there may be precious information about Iwagakure in his head. Almost all large ninja villages have the means to read information from the heads of the dead. Gravel Duff's head naturally also has a certain value. What Kirishima Morita didn't know was that the value of this head had already been completely destroyed by Mizuki Ryosuke. 3 days later, Mizuki Ryosuke is lying in Mist Shinobi's hospital, half dead, pretend. Mizuki Ryosuke has been in the process of cultivation since the previous 2 days in the invasion of Rock Shinobi, a ninja named Stone Duff. During this period, many ninjas who were familiar with Mizuki Ryosuke in the ninja village came to visit him. Ryosuke has been pretending to be half dead after a hard fight, showing no flaws. This is also in line with Mizuki Ryosuke's usual image inside the Mist Shinobi ninja village. To outsiders, it is obvious what happened. It turned out that Kirigakure got the information a few days ago. A change was found in deep Yamanaka, dozens of kilometers away from the village, but the reason for the change is not yet known. As a result, the Mist Shinobi authorities sent a team led by Mizuki Ryosuke to carry out a reconnaissance mission near the village. Unexpectedly, there is an elite team of rock shinobi lurking in deep Yamanaka. The ninja team mode was pioneered by 2nd Hokage Senju Tobirama. Generally speaking, a senior ninja leads a team and leads 3 ordinary ninjas to form a team. Once the ninja squad model appeared, it was imitated by major ninja villages because of its outstanding effects. Ninja squads are generally divided into 2 situations, namely elite squads and ordinary squads. Ordinary squads, like Mizuki Ryosuke, have 1 chunin and 3 genins. The elite team is like this rock shinobi team, with 1 jonin and 3 chunin. When an ordinary team faces an elite team, the opponent is still jonin. Under normal circumstances, the result will naturally go without saying. Unexpectedly, Mizuki Ryosuke actually killed the local jonin. I have to say that Mizuki Ryosuke is very popular in the village on weekdays. There was an endless stream of people who came to visit the patient, and he finally let out a sigh of relief after sending the last visitor away. Tuck tuck. At this moment, the door of the ward was knocked again. The sound was very loud, and it seemed that the impatience of the people outside the door could be heard only by the sound. Before Mizuki Ryosuke could make a statement, the people outside the door had already pushed in. Mizuki Ryosuke was not surprised when he saw the person who came, and seemed to have expected everything. Mizuki Ryosuke, on Mizukage's orders, I'm here to investigate your team's encounter with rock shinobi in the mountains. Please cooperate. The man's tone was extremely indifferent, and he could not hear the slightest emotion from it. A total of 3 people came to investigate, all wearing masks that covered their faces. The 3 are ninjas from Kagage Ambu. Okay. Mizuki Ryosuke nodded lightly, his expression indifferent. You don't have to be nervous, we are just asking for some basic information. At this time, another member of Ambu wearing a dog face mask spoke up, with a much gentler tone. Hearing the sound, Mizuki Ryosuke just smiled and nodded towards the dog-faced Ambu, as if he already knew the identity of the other party. Mizuki Ryosuke, please describe the mission. Don't miss the details. Another Ambu wearing a purple mask then asked. Hearing the sound, Mizuki Ryosuke nodded slowly, and then started talking. 3 days ago, according to the requirements of the mission, I led the team to the mission location. After arriving at the mission location, we started searching for suspicious targets as required by the mission. Soon, with the ability of team member Genin Takeda Yoichi, we discovered suspicious traces. Speaking of which, Mizuki Ryosuke's expression became a little gloomy, as if he was caught in a bad memory. Takeda Yoichi, a member of Mizuki Ryosuke's team, is a sentient ninja. Following the trail, we found a member of this rock shinobi team. We mistook it for Rock Shinobi's lone detective ninja at the time. The battle started, but soon the other side's reinforcements arrived, 1 Jonan and 2 Chunin. At that time, I made a judgment to break out of the encirclement. So I led away the opponent's Jonan, and instructed the team members to immediately return to the village to report the situation. Then I was lucky enough to kill the opponent's Jonan with all my strength. That's how it happened, and I don't know anything about the others. Soon, Mizuki Ryosuke ends the narration. The 3 Ambu ninjas looked at each other. Mizuki Ryosuke, how did you kill Rock Shinobi's Jonan? With our master of your intelligence, no matter how you calculate it, your win rate is less than 20%. Hope you can give us an explanation. The leading Ambu ninja then asked, and this was actually the biggest doubt in this mission. Jonan, an elite-level existence in a village, not to mention that the other party is a little famous rock shinobi Jonan. There is no virtuous person under the reputation, and the opponent is definitely not a weak person who can be easily killed by Chunin. All the ninjas who can become Jonan are blood-baptized. The high-level ninjutsu of Jonan's master is by no means comparable to the half-baked Chunin. Not to mention, in terms of attributes, the earth-style ninjutsu of Rock Shinobi's master restrains the water style of Mizuki Ryosuke's grandmaster to a certain extent. Mizuki Ryosuke looked hesitant, and after some hesitation, he slowly extended a hand. I saw several transparent ice crystals condensed on Mizuki Ryosuke's fingers. Ice escape. Dog-head Ambu said loudly, with a bit of joy in his tone. Good good. Dog-headed Ambu said 3 good things in a row. Cough cough. Watch your mood, doghead. The leading Ambu reminded the dog-headed Ambu on the side. So that's the case, but since you have awakened Bingdun's bloodline limit, why not report to the village? Ambu, who was in the lead, followed up. It turns out that not everyone can awaken their own bloodline even if they are born in the bloodline family. Every ninja with bloodline is a rare talent in Shinobi Village. I've only just awakened Bingdun, and I plan to report to the clan after I'm familiar with it for a while. I didn't expect. Speaking of this, Mizuki Ryosuke's tone suddenly stopped, leaving enough space for people to imagine. For a ninja with a special bloodline, it is not impossible to leapfrog the enemy. In the face of Mizuki Ryosuke's prevarication, several Ambu did not speak. After all, this is the Mizuki clan's own business, they have no right to intervene. Mizuki Ryosuke, do you know that 2 of your subordinates have been killed? Purple Mask Ambu spoke slowly, watching Mizuki Ryosuke's expression. In response, Mizuki Ryosuke just said nothing, his expression full of pain. It's the fate of ninjas. After a long silence, Mizuki Ryosuke said slowly, this sentence also made the atmosphere in the room a little dull. Seeing this, Purple Mask Ambu stopped asking questions. Okay, that's it for now, I'm sorry to bother you, so I'm leaving. After that, the 3 Ambu members got up and left. After the 3 of them left, the pain on Mizuki Ryosuke's expression disappeared, and he returned to his initial indifference. In fact, Mizuki Ryosuke has long concluded that Ambu will definitely be involved in the investigation of such a major disclosure task. And the background of this task may not seem so simple. These hole cards, exposed right now, are also a last resort, and these hole cards are just the least worth mentioning in Mizuki Ryosuke's hole card library. Exposing the effects of ice escape is also within the acceptable range for Mizuki Ryosuke. Just making him from medium to upper middle, a ninja with similar talents to Mizuki Ryosuke has no 1800, which is nothing. Coupled with the display of Bingdun's talent, even if the village intends to investigate further, the clan will try their best to keep Mizuki Ryosuke. Obviously, the dog-headed Ambu just now, at first glance, is the ninja of the Mizuki family. Mizuki Ryosuke is not worried about Tsuki Ambu's censorship and talent exposure. Instead, he was worried about something else. A ninja team lurked so close to Kirigakure. What is the intention of this ninja team? What Mizuki Ryosuke needs to do is to get himself out of this turmoil as soon as possible. Soon, Mizuki Ryosuke fell into contemplation, thinking about his situation. Mizuki Ryosuke, or Zhongwei, a rebirth from the Great Celestial Dynasty. That's right. Mizuki Ryosuke is a member of the vast army of transmigrators. He was reborn into the world of ninjas. Moreover, he was born in the Mizuki family who owns the bloodline of Ice Escape in the village of Fog. When Mizuki Ryosuke was born, Kirigakure was in the reign of Second Mizukage, which coincided with the end of the First Ninja World War and the eve of the fall of Second Mizukage. Mizuki Ryosuke, who came to the world of Hokage in a confused way, has no idea of returning to his original world. Now he has made up his mind to live well under the name of Mizuki. Mizuki Ryosuke understands a truth about his death in his previous life. If you want to live in peace, you must first know how to stay away from danger. Not to mention, he is now in the dangerous world of Hokage ninjas. Mizuki Ryosuke felt a chill in his heart at the thought of Senju and Uchiha's nuclear-level fighting power in the ninja world. In the eyes of the strong, killing the weak is as simple as crushing a bug. Fortunately, although Mizuki Ryosuke himself did not awaken the so-called cheat, he is a real genius. Any ninjutsu can be learned as long as it is taught. Even if it is some secret art, if no one teaches it, as long as Mizuki Ryosuke reads it a few times, you can get a glimpse. It's just that Mizuki Ryosuke has never shown such talent within the haze. There are many reasons, but in summary, there is only one. Too dangerous, not stable enough. Once Mizuki Ryosuke shows his talent, he will definitely soon be regarded as a potential stock by the family and even the shinobi village, and he will try his best to cultivate it. What is the result of this? First of all, the title of Peerless Genius will bring endless danger to Mizuki Ryosuke. For example, strife within shinobi village, assassination of hostile shinobi village, some pervert spying, and countless other troubles. At the same time, the benefits that can be brought by revealing one's talent seem to be particularly deadly at the moment. After receiving strong training from shinobi village, he may become the head of the Mizuki, or even the Mizukage of Kirigakure. The thought of being Mizukage made Mizuki Ryosuke's head wang, and he was immediately scared into a cold sweat. You know, ninjas themselves already belong to high-risk occupations. The shadow is the high risk of the high risk. Among the famous unlucky ones, such as 3rd Kazekage, 4th Kazekage, 4th Hokage. That is to say, once you become a top actor, you will not only have to face external enemies. You must also always be on guard against the 2nd or 5th sons in your village, your apprentices, and some ambitious people who always want to do things. Unless Mizuki Ryosuke has the power to overwhelm the contemporary like Senju Hashirama, let him be the shadow of a village. That's absolutely impossible. Not far, but near. Where is this? Know that this is Mist Shinobi. Looking at the original work, all the Mizukages in the past dynasties are almost the saddest existence after Kazekage. Since the 3rd Mizukage period, the entire Kagura ninja village has actually fallen under the shadow of Uchiha Madara. 4th Mizukage was even directly manipulated by Uchiha Obito, becoming a puppet promoting war. Since the battle in the Valley of the End, Uchiha Madara has been hiding in the shadows of the ninja world, planning for his own rebirth. It can be seen from the original work that Uchiha Madara manipulated Obito Blacken with one hand, and the Heize ninja village at that time was already under the control of Uchiha Madara and became a tool to attract Obito's hatred. In the Obito Blacken incident, Uchiha Madara can not only mobilize Ambu, who is directly under the jurisdiction of Mizukage, but even 3 Tails Arata can be assigned at will. You know, tailed beasts are no less important to a ninja village than nuclear bombs. And Uchiha Madara easily mobilized 3 Tails, and sealed it in Nohara Lin's body with the hands of Heize Anbu. It is conceivable how much authority Madara had within Mist Shinobi at that time. With this in mind, Mizuki Ryosuke had to keep a low profile for the time being, to avoid being included in Uchiha Madara's vision because of his own talent, becoming a chess piece or even an abandoned piece. From the beginning of the 3rd Mizukage's rule over the Mist Shinobi ninja village, the Fog Shadow began the process of blood mist and went downhill. Coupled with the current situation of the Kagome ninja village, it is really not that good. And it all starts with the succession of 3rd Mizukage.
Third Mizukage, Mizuki Taki.
That's right. The contemporary Mizukage also serves as the patriarch of the Mizuki family. In terms of seniority, he is still Mizuki Ryosuke's uncle, and his blood relationship is not too far away. The 3rd Mizukage has served as the escort of a generation of Mizukage, and also served as minister of Ambu during the 2nd Mizukage period, and has a good personal relationship with the first 2 Mizukage. Regardless of qualifications or identity, Mizuki Taki's succession to 3rd Mizukage can be said to be a natural fit. But even with this natural succession, Mizukage spent 2 full years after second Mizukage's death. On the one hand, Mizukage himself is in poor health and is a very sick child who often needs to rest and recuperate his body. On the other hand, second Mizukage's reputation in Mist Shinobi Ninja Village is extremely high, even surpassing first Mizukage White Lotus to a certain extent. It is precisely because of second generation's high prestige that many second generation diehards have resisted third generation's superiority. After the death of Oni Lan Genue, some of his diehards still refused to submit to Mizukitake's command, and they rejected Mizukitake's superior position. It is even in a state of listening to the tune and not listening to the announcement, which includes the famous Kagaya family and the main family of Ghost Lantern Magic Moon, Ghost Lantern. Among them, the Kagaya family and the Mizuki family, who are carrying Dead Bone Pulse, are mortal enemies. Seeing that the Mizuki family wants to take the top position, the Kagaya family is of course dissatisfied. For various reasons, Mizukage dragged on for 2 years to become the third Mizukage. And after taking the throne, Mizukitake's right to speak and influence in the fog is still limited. Perhaps Uchiha Madara took a fancy to this point in the village of Fog Shadows, and then took control of the lifeline of Kirigakure. The fatigue and lack of authority and majesty displayed by third Mizukage also made many Mist Ninja elites lack awe of third generation's purpose. There was chaos all over Mist Shinobi. Over the past decade, Mist Shinobi has been in constant infighting. Since the fall of the second generation, Mist Shinobi's vitality has not only not recovered, but has even declined compared to the strength at that time. Analyzing the current form of Mist Shinobi from an objective point of view is nothing short of a mess. From the outside, the other 4 ninja villages have recovered their vitality from the loss of the first ninja war, and are in a stage of expanding outward. From the inside, there are many conflicts between the major ninja tribes in Kirigakure, and Mizukage cannot control the overall situation and can only let it be. Mist Shinobi Ninja Village has come to a rather dangerous situation. Most importantly, an invisible black hand has enveloped the entire Kirigakure in the dark. So no matter from which point of view, keeping a low profile is definitely the best strategy at present. Just one word, just say it once. Half a day has passed since Ambu's review, and the time is approaching dusk. No one came to visit Mizuki Ryosuke during this time, and he was happy about it. It happened that he planned to use this time to think about how to arrange the next step. Cough cough. A clear coughing sound came from outside the ward, and the sound gradually moved from far to near. This also made Mizuki Ryosuke in the ward frown. This cough is worse than his wounded tuk-tuk. Who knew that Mizuki Ryosuke had just finished complaining in his heart when a clear knock on the door reached his ears. Please come in. A trace of curiosity flashed in Mizuki Ryosuke's heart. Who would visit him at this time? Is it her? After thinking about it, a graceful figure appeared in Mizuki Ryosuke's mind. But soon, Mizuki Ryosuke shook his head again. At this time, everyone should hide it from her and never reveal their situation to her. But soon, the visitor revealed the true face of Mount Lu. Sheesh. At that moment, Mizuki Ryosuke almost sat up, his heart full of surprise. How could it be him? Even though he was extremely surprised, the fact was right in front of his eyes, and Mizuki Ryosuke couldn't bear to believe it. Mizukage-sama! Mizuki Ryosuke exclaimed, and after the initial surprise, he had already figured out how to respond. He pretended to be frightened at first, then he took on the shy attitude of a young boy when he saw his idol, and he was about to get up. But in the end, because of the weakness of his body, Mizuki Ryosuke could only lie down on the hospital bed weakly, looking like he was too excited to speak. It's true that life is like a play, it's all about acting. Mizukage's sudden attack is obviously something that Mizuki Ryosuke never expected, and it is undoubtedly a major test of his acting skills. Cough cough. It's okay Ryosuke, I'll see you, just lie down and don't move. Third Mizukage Mizukitake looked amiable and looked at Mizuki Ryosuke as if he was looking at the younger generation he cared about. And the fact is also true, Mizuki Ryosuke himself does have a close blood relationship with him. But who is this person in front of him? This is the dignified Mizukage, the master of the fate of thousands of people. How could he come to see him for no reason? For a while, Mizuki Ryosuke's mind was full of thoughts, but he had no clue at all. There is no love for no reason in the world, even if they belong to the same family. This Mizukage-sama has never done anything like this before. What's more, his relationship with the Mizukage-sama was definitely not harmonious by some definition. What is the other party's purpose? Ryosuke, You did a great job this time. Cough cough. Is your body alright? Mizukage spoke first, complimenting Ryosuke with a warm smile. Mizukage couldn't stop coughing as he spoke, apparently because of his body. Hearing the sound, Ryosuke seemed to understand where the crux of the matter was, and a flash of clarity flashed in his eyes. Mizukage-sama, my body is fine. You have to take care of your body too. Although there were a lot of thoughts in his heart, Ryosuke still maintained the excited expression of a hot-blooded youth on the surface. He glanced at Mizukage in front of him. This is a man with light blue long hair, and there is no sharp breath in his body, as if he is an ordinary uncle next door. It's just that for some reason, Mizukage at the moment seems to be weakened, and the breath all over his body is a little sluggish. The long light blue hair is mixed with a little gray color, and the complexion is also a little too pale, and it looks extremely depressed. There is even a faint feeling of terminally ill. Ryosuke, you did a good job this time, and the village and clan will reward you. Cough cough. It's not outside, just call me the patriarch. Third Mizukage was still amiable and seemed to be very talkative. Thank you for the praise from the patriarch. It's all right. It's my honor to contribute to the village. Ryosuke pretended to be excited. He did not reject third generation's kindness, but accepted Mizukataki's kindness in this direction. Ha ha. I'm relieved to see you like this. Mizukage still spoke softly. Patriarch, how could you? Then, Ryosuke looked at Mizukage with a puzzled look. The latter of course understood Ryosuke's confusion. Dignified third Mizukage, why did you come back to visit a Jonan? Cough cough. I have been feeling unwell recently, and I came to the hospital for this sick body. Ha ha. I made you laugh, Ryosuke. The peace on Mizukataki's face remained undiminished, but under this kind of peace, Ryosuke couldn't see the depth of this Mizukage-sama at all. You are serious. The patriarch has done his best for the village. I think people in any village have nothing but admiration for you. Ryosuke quietly watched the third generation with a flattery. Ha ha ha. Ryosuke, you have to work hard. Lianbin was clamoring to see you, but I stopped her so that she didn't come. You should know the current situation in the clan, and you will have to bear more of the burden of the clan in the future. After saying that, Mizukage got up and didn't say more. After instructing Ryosuke a few polite words such as rest more, and take care of your body, he got up and left. Before leaving, Mizukage looked at Ryosuke with a bit of meaning in his eyes. After the Mizukage-sama left, Ryosuke could clearly feel it. 4 or 4 extremely strong breaths from the ward also left. Dignified Mizukage, how can you walk around alone? Obviously, these 4 or 5 strong breaths came from Ambu's ninjas. Needless to say, the mission of these ninjas was to ensure the safety of Mizukage. After third Mizukage left, Ryosuke's heart suddenly started to ring. The people from Ambu had just come to investigate in the morning, and Mizukage followed in the afternoon. If there was no connection between them, he wouldn't believe it if he was killed. As for the reason given by Mizukage, it is estimated that although it is not a lie, you must know that this Mizukage has been honest with Ryosuke before. What made this Mizukage change his attitude towards Ryosuke so much that he didn't hesitate to visit his little-known Jonan in person? Even before Mizukage left, he hinted that Ryosuke might put more burdens on him. There is only one answer, and that must be related to the information he disclosed in front of Ambu at noon. And there was only one key piece of information he exposed in the morning, the awakening of being done. At the moment, Ryosuke immediately figured out the joints. Sister Lien, you hurt me. Ryosuke smiled wryly. But now that things have come to this point, Ryosuke naturally has no good solution, and can only recalculate his plan of hold your strengths and bide your time. Another week later, Ryosuke's injuries are more than half healed, and he is not stuck in the hospital. Instead, he returned to his home. Along the way, Ryosuke sighed lightly, looking at the familiar streets of Kirigakure. The flow of people on the street also looked very sparse, and everything seemed a little depressed. Mist Shinobi Ninja Village, the only ninja village in the Land of Water, ranks among the top 5 ninja villages. But only those in the village know that the current Mist Shinobi is sinking into an unprecedented weakness. Even with the profit of the transmigrator, Ryosuke knew in his heart that there would be a storm that would engulf Mist Shinobi next. And after this storm, Kirigakure will also receive the title of In the Blood Mist. Not long after, Mizuki Ryosuke returned to the Mizuki family's clan. As a member of the Mizuki family, Mizuki Ryosuke naturally lives in the Mizuki family's clan. Because of the early death of both parents, Mizuki Ryosuke lives alone in a large house. It's just that as soon as he opened the door, a smell of food poured into his nostrils. Then a gentle female voice with a little surprise came into Mizuki Ryosuke's ears. "Ryosuke, you're back." The beautiful figure in front of him, no matter how many times he saw it, he still felt a little surprised. A snow-white long dress under the skin of the girl Sai Shui gave the girl a pure and flawless beauty. The tender and charming face makes this pure beauty even more captivating. Not waiting for Mizuki Ryosuke to react. The next moment, the soft and fragrant fragrance plunged into my arms, feeling the indulgent warmth.
Even Mizuki Ryosuke's heart became soft for a while.
"Well, I'm back. Sister Lien." Mizuki Ryosuke replied softly. The beautiful woman in her arms raised her head and scrutinized Mizuki Ryosuke's cheeks, as if to check for any missing parts. Soft black hair brushed Mizuki Ryosuke's neck, bringing a strange touch. After the girl checked and confirmed that Mizuki Ryosuke was intact, she slowly spoke up. "Ryosuke, how could you encounter such a dangerous thing? Scared me." Looking at the worry in Mizuki's eyes, Ryosuke showed a gentle smile. "Isn't it all right, Sister Lien?" Mizuki Ryosuke comforted the beauty in his arms. Mizuki Lien, the current princess of the Mizuki family, is also the jewel of the patriarch and Mizukage Mizuki Taki. The previous visit of Mizukage was also inseparable from the Princess Mizuki. Lien and Ryosuke have been childhood friends since childhood, although Mizuki Lien is 3 years older than Ryosuke. But that doesn't stop the two from being playmates and best friends. So that this kind of relationship developed into a kind of sister and brother relationship later. After Mizuki Ryosuke's parents died in the war, Mizuki Lien took care of Mizuki Ryosuke's life directly. Let's not mention the relationship between Lien and Ryosuke, but the two are so close, and it is naturally a kind of relationship that outsiders see. As for the relationship between Ryosuke and Lien, the elders who have a close relationship with Mizuki Lien are basically opposed to it. Especially Ren's father, Mizuki Taki. Because on the surface, Mizuki Ryosuke is just an ordinary ninja with mediocre talent, and even bloodline has not awakened. He belongs to the kind of ninja with no future. With such strength, in this cruel world, he can only be reduced to cannon fodder in the village, and he cannot give Lien a stable life at all. Mizuki Taki naturally disagreed with marrying Mizuki Renshida to such a ninja. But everything changed not long ago. Not only did Mizuki Ryosuke awaken the bloodline, but he even took down a Jonan from Rock Shinobi. As mentioned earlier, not every ninja of the bloodline family can awaken their bloodline, and the same is true of the Mizuki family. In the entire Mizuki family, no more than 20 people would have awakened bloodline. Although Mizuki Ryosuke still seems to be mediocre in talent at the moment, he is better than young. After awakening bloodline, it means that there are endless possibilities in the future. Originally, the pain point that both parents died and was helpless, has now become the advantage of a clean background. So, the reason why Mizuki Taki not only changed his attitude towards Ryosuke, but even visited him personally. The reason is here. Obviously, the current Mizuki Taki doesn't mind Ryosuke's enrollment. At the same time, he is willing to make some investments in Ryosuke who has awakened bloodline. After all, Mizuki Ryosuke, who is a member of the Mizuki clan, bears the mark of belonging to the Mizukage faction. Mizuki Ryosuke's strength is not bad for 3rd Mizukage. So Mizuki Taki's parting look at Mizuki Ryosuke was not just an encouragement. There is also a hint of censorship that father-in-law sees son-in-law. "You're hungry, Ryosuke, come and eat." After confirming that Mizuki Ryosuke was safe again, Mizuki Lien took Ryosuke's hand and came to the table. This is a very home-style Japanese dinner, and Mizuki Ryosuke didn't show the slightest politeness and moved his chopsticks directly. During the banquet, the two of them were like a newly married couple. After dinner, Mizuki Lien left Mizuki Ryosuke's house as usual. Even if the two of them both think that they are simply sister and brother relationship to each other. But some things have to be avoided. After Mizuki Lien left, Ryosuke began to practice day after day. The recent events made Mizuki Ryosuke feel a little urgency and had to prepare in advance. Kirigakure, a dark-looking concrete building tucked away in an inconspicuous corner of Kirigakure. Although the building looks ordinary from the outside, it is unique on the inside. This is really missed Shinobi's Ambu building. inside the Ambu building. A thin male ninja with a ferocious scar on his face sat on a chair and listened to a report from an Ambu ninja in front of him. As the ninja in front of him spoke, the man's expression became more and more ugly. A bunch of trash. Such a big disclosure has already alerted that old guy Mizukage. The man cursed angrily, and Morihan's murderous aura erupted in his eyes. Lord Tachibana, I have ordered all the remaining rock shinobi to hide. It won't happen again. Ambu ninja immediately apologized to the man in front of him, with a very humble attitude. The man is the Ambu minister of Mist Shinobi today, second only to Mizukage's ninja, Yagura. In the original historical trajectory, Yagura will not only succeed the fourth Mizukage in the future, but will also become the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails. Humph. Remember, this is your last chance. A cold light flashed in Yagura's eyes, and the coldness in his voice made the Ambu ninja in front of him tremble uncontrollably. Yes. Ambu ninja immediately complied in a low voice. How are things going with Kagaya? Yagura asked again, a hint of mystery flashed in his eyes. Don't worry, my lord. Things with the Kagaya family are infallible. They have fully believed in the conditions we gave. As long as you give an order, the entire Kagaya clan will immediately riot. Ambu ninja reported to Yagura, with confidence in his words. Hum. Kagaya. Just a bunch of idiots with well-developed limbs. Goji Orange Yagura gloomily chuckled twice. Then this Mizuki Ryosuke. How to deal with it? Ambu ninja took the initiative to ask Yagura. It's okay, such a small character doesn't need to pay attention to him. Wait until Mizuki Taki is cleaned up. After speaking, Yagura waved at the ninja in front of him and stopped talking. Upon seeing this, Ambu ninja turned into a shadow and disappeared. In this dark space, the corners of Yagura's mouth suddenly showed a wicked smile. His long-cherished wish was almost fulfilled. As long as he kills that old thing Mizuki Taki, Mizukage's position will be in Yagura's pocket. The huge Kirigakure. What ninja doesn't want to be a Mizukage? Regardless of right or wrong, what drives Yagura is just his self-righteous ambition. Just when Yagura was immersed in the wild hope in his heart. Suddenly, Yagura's pupils began to shrink violently, and his eyes became extremely dull. Immediately afterwards, Yagura's original orange pupils turned blood red, and the blood in the pupils split into 3 scarlet guyu. After that, Yagura, with a dull face, walked towards the ground floor of the Mist Shinobi Ambu building. If there are high-level ninjas with Konoha, they may be able to recognize it. This is the characteristic of a high-level illusion. And this illusion originated from a family standing at the top of the ninja world, Uchiha. The next day. Mizukage building. The Jonans of Kirigakure seem to have been ordered to gather in the building. Today is the monthly Jonan meeting. All Jonan in the village are required to participate. The Jonan class, the true mainstay of a ninja village. It is also an elite class that reflects the strength of the ninja village. Even if all the Jonans in the entire Kirito ninja village add up, I am afraid there are no more than 300. Only a small number of people can come to the meeting. After all, most ninjas are busy with tasks, and only half of them stay in the village to cultivate. Don't underestimate these 300 Jonans, almost all of them are high-level ninjas with advanced ninjutsu masters. It is no exaggeration to say that only 20 Jonans are enough to destroy a small country. 20 Jonan teamed up and could even fight some cage-level powerhouses for a short time. Some ninja villages in small countries are estimated to have a dozen or so Jonan-level combat power. At the Jonan meeting, the shadow half of the village will also announce some important things to listen to the Jonan's opinions. At the same time, the Jonan meeting has an important function. That was the selection and promotion of Jonan. Generally, Jonan appointments and promotions are bound to go through Jonan conferences. At the same time, theoretically speaking, if you think of Shadow as the leader of a village, then Minister Ambu is the second in command of the village. The Jonan squad leader is the third in command of the village. Not surprisingly, the next Shadow of Shinobu village should come from the squad leader Jonan and Minister Ambu. And when Mizuki Ryosuke came to the Mizukage building, the Jonan who attended the Jonan meeting were already there. When everyone saw Mizuki Ryosuke's unfamiliar face, they all had different eyes. But soon, everyone also understood what this meant. In addition to Jonan, there is only another kind of person who can come to this occasion. That is, the soon-to-be Jonan. That's right, Mizuki Ryosuke came this time to participate in the promotion of Jonan. After entering the meeting room of the Mizukage building, Mizuki Ryosuke first greeted the Jonans he knew well. Then, Very consciously, he found a cat in the back corner. Mizuki Ryosuke was not surprised by the current results. After all, long before this, Mizuki Taki hinted that he would put some burdens on him. What he didn't expect was that Mizuki Taki would make him a Jonan in such a hurry. In all fairness, he felt that there was still some gap between the position of Jonan, based on what he showed. Killing a rock shinobi Jonan just by fluke is still a little thin. Kun is missing, Prince Naruto is stunned at the air, and he is still genin when he looks back. So the promotion of ninjas is not just that simple. And this is also related to Mizuki Ryosuke's usual, low-key. In a short while, except for the most central Mizukage, nearly half of the rest of the conference room was filled with people. On the left and right sides of the Mizukage, Minister Ambu's Gotachibana Yagura and the Jonan squad leader Maeda Motoji were also in place. The two missed shinobis number 2 and number 3 didn't say a word, full of oppression from the superiors. Unlike Ambu's baby face, Yagura, Maeda Yuenshi has a majestic middle-aged face and looks very calm. Mizuki Ryosuke picked up the plane and looked at a group of Kirigakure executives, especially Yagura, the future fourth-generation head. At the same time, Mizuki Ryosuke also noticed that almost all the Jonin of the Mizuki family came to this meeting. The arrival of these Mizuki clan ninjas was naturally due to Mizukage's arrangement. It was here to collect votes for Mizuki Ryosuke. Then, two masked Ambu members appeared at the door of the conference room, which also meant that the Jonin meeting was about to begin. Cough cough. Several clear coughing sounds reached everyone's ears from far to near. Needless to say, the person here is the contemporary Mizukage, Mizuki Taki. After a while, Mizuki Taki staggered to the main seat and slowly sat down. He first talked about the situation in recent months in a cliché, and then said some encouraging vernaculars such as encouraging everyone to share. Then came to the point. Cough cough. Since everyone understands, I won't say more nonsense. In this Jonin meeting, a total of 5 places for promotion to Jonin were nominated. It's still the same, 3 of mine, 1 from Goji, and 1 from Maeda. Next, let's vote, and you can put forward your opinions. Mizuki Taki looked at all the Jonin present with a smile, and his breath was as kind as usual. In order to become an official Jonin, in addition to being recognized for merit and strength, more than 1/3 of the participating Jonins must agree at the Jonin meeting. Cough cough. Maeda, read your name. After a low cough, Mizuki Taki said to the Jonin squad leader Maeda beside him. Although the Jonin squad leader's position has always been vacillating, it is not enough to refute Mizukage's face on such a trivial matter. Toshi Miyake, Ichiro Kato, Hide Nohara, Naoki Jong, and Mizuki Ryosuke. Now start voting separately, and those who have opinions on the above quotas can put forward them. Maeda Genshi said in a majestic voice. When he heard Mizuki Ryosuke's name, a glint of light flashed in the eyes of all Jonin present. It's not how well-known Mizuki Ryosuke is inside Mist Shinobi. Instead, I can think of the relationship between Mizuki Ryosuke and 3rd Mizukage. Ha ha. Let's get started, there's a lot of things waiting for me in Ambu. On one side, Yagura, Ambu's long wolfberry, seemed to have no interest in Maeda Yuenshi and urged him impatiently. Seeing Utachi Yagura's attitude, Maeda Yuenshi was not angry, but started the voting process. Mizuki Ryosuke was ranked 5th, so he was not in a hurry, but secretly prepared, while observing the form on the field. Long before he came, he had inquired about the process of being promoted to Jonin. Getting nominated is just the first step, followed by all Jonin's votes. There is the most important 3rd step, that is the strength test. Jonin attending the meeting will be randomly selected to compete with ninjas who are promoted to Jonin. Watched by Mizukage, Chief Ambu and Monitor Jonin. On the one hand, it is to see if the selected Jonin has excessively released water, and on the other hand, it is to see whether the strength of the promotion Jonin has not reached the standard. As long as he can remain undefeated during the competition, he will be promoted to Jonin. And once you lose in the competition, come again next year. And what Mizuki Ryosuke is waiting for is the time for this competition. Jonin? Who wants to be? Can you beat Otsutsuki Kagaya? Have you fought Uchiha Madara? Have you ever done Senju Hashirama? No matter how bad it is, it still has the strength of Hitaki Kakashi forcibly opening it up. Does this want to be a Jonin? Far from it. Jong Jishu, the final 37 votes. Pass. Soon, the count of votes for the 4 Chunin to be promoted ended. Except for the civilian ninja named Taishi Miyake, the remaining 3 ninjas all have their own backgrounds, and all pass the Jonan voting without exception. At this time, the major ninja villages have not been established for a long time, and the ninja school open to civilians has only just been established. The world of ninjas is still the world of family ninjas. So the world of ninjas is not all about fighting and killing, but the world. Finally, it was Mizuki Ryosuke's turn. Mist Shinobi's Jonan polls take a non-anonymous approach, which means voting in person. After Maeda Motoji announced the start of voting, Jonan, who was present, raised his hands in agreement. It can be clearly seen that about half of them agree with the ninjas of the Mizuki family. These ninjas all wear uniform white kimonos, which is also a major feature of the Mizuki family in Mist Shinobi. More than 20 Jonan, this is the heritage of the Mizuki family. In any case, the Mizuki family, which has a contemporary Mizukage, is the largest ninja tribe of Mist Shinobi today. It can also be seen from this that the ninjas who are born in the ninja family have great advantages themselves. In contrast, on the seats opposite the Mizuki family ninjas, there were neat rows of sturdy ninjas, the number of which was almost the same as that of the Mizuki family ninjas. These ninjas, both male and female, are all extremely muscular, and have the same feature, that is, they have no eyebrows. After plucking the brows, they used a brow pencil to point out a black spot on the brow's location. This appearance looks sturdy and gives a funny and ugly feeling. And this group of ninjas is headed by a manic being who is extraordinarily burly and one size larger than other kin. Kagaya family. The leader is the current patriarch of the Teru Yoruichi clan, Teru Yoruichiro. Also the mortal enemy of the Mizuki clan. Right now, this group of ferocious ninjas are all sitting in their seats, sneering and not saying a word. Without exception, Kaguya's ninja vetoed Mizuki Ryosuke's promotion. The rest of the Jonans were not surprised when they saw it, and it seems that this situation often occurs. Not only the Kagaya family, but the Mizuki family also often gave unanimous vetoes when the Kagaya people were promoted to Jonan. It wasn't just the Teru Yoruichi clan who voted veto. Mizuki Ryosuke also noticed that Yagura and the ninjas around him all rejected his promotion to Jonan. Although Jonan's squad leader Maeda Uenshi himself did not agree, there were sparsely 3 or 2 people beside him who agreed. It can be considered to take care of Mizukage's face. The rest of the ninjas who agreed were scattered, probably all Jonan from the Mizukage faction. In total, there are about 40 votes. Having already exceeded 30% of the number of participants, Mizuki Ryosuke is considered to have eased this level. But the current situation made Mizuki Ryosuke frown.
There were about 90 Jonans who attended the meeting, including more than 20 Jonans from the Mizuki family.
Mizuki Ryosuke's promotion to Jonan was inspired by Mizukage. As long as he is not blind, he should be able to see it. After all, the surname Mizuki is here, which is enough to explain some problems. But the results so far are far from fantastic. Seriously terrified. A clan member nominated by Mizukage has received less than half of the votes in favor. Not to mention that there are also big ninjas and Ambu Changjiang jumping on the opposite side. It's like the mayor's nomination of his brother-in-law to build a road, and half of his subordinates saying the opposite. That's a pretty dangerous ratio. The Jonan class is the foundation of the village, and the shadow does not control more than half of the Jonan, which is a very dangerous sign. And there is also moisture from the Mizuki family. You must know that in normal times, there will not be so many ninjas from the Mizuki family coming to the meeting. Actually, Mizuki Taki's control over the village Jonan should be around 30%. Danger. Extremely dangerous. As the saying goes, leaning against a big tree is good to enjoy the shade, but looking at the situation of 3rd generation, this is a big tree, it is clearly an old tree that is about to wither. Mizuki Ryosuke knows that since he was born into the Mizuki family, this innate identity cannot be escaped. Judging from the current situation, Yagura and Wei Yoruichi are undoubtedly the great enemies of their current identity. It seems that my strategy of keeping a low profile is indeed correct. Mizuki Ryosuke once again affirmed his own countermeasures in his heart. It is also more and more determined to be mediocre to the end. Soon, the promotion link came to the next item. Mizuki Ryosuke is still the last to appear. In addition to Miyaki Taishi, who did not pass the vote, the remaining 4 people have to choose one of the participating Jonans to compete with each other. The first to appear is a young ninja named Kato Ichiro. From the appearance, it is considered a talented ninja to be able to take the Jonan exam at this age. Although I am unfamiliar with Kato Ichiro Mizuki Ryosuke, I have heard a little about the Kato family. The Kato family is regarded as a small ninja in the Mist Shinobi, and there are 3 or 5 Jonan in the family, and they are considered to have a wide range of intersections in the village. Soon, the lottery ended, and Kato Ichiro selected a middle-aged Jonan. Mizuki Ryosuke keenly found that at the moment when the ninja was drawn, Kato Ichiro and the middle-aged ninja briefly looked at each other and smiled. At this moment, Mizuki Ryosuke seemed to understand something. Really. The world of ninjas is not just about fighting and killing, but also human beings. Not surprisingly, this Kato Ichiro should be promoted relatively easily. Sure enough, Mizuki Ryosuke expected. The battle between the two pursued a point to end. After some restrained fights, they were judged to end in a draw. Obviously, the two had already met before, and with their mutual relationship, middle-aged Jonan easily let Kato Ichiro pass the test. Compared to Kato Ichiro, the ninja named Hara Hideno was not so lucky. He drew an extremely cold breath of Ambu ninja sitting next to Yagura. Before the two started fighting, Yuan Shu's face was extremely ugly. After the opening, Ambu ninja really showed no mercy, and this Ambu ninja is extremely powerful. Even among Jonan, it is an absolute elite level, commonly known as elite Jonan. This is nothing more than being able to sit beside Yagura. Within 10 rounds, Yuan Shu was defeated. In the third battle, the two sides were evenly matched, and Zhang Jishu was finally recognized by the fighting ninja. Both sides agreed that the game ended in a draw. It can be seen that this ninja named Zhang Jishu is quite strong and already has the level of Jonan. Mizuki Ryosuke remembered the name Vice Admiral in his heart and was ready to go up to the competition. Like the previous ones, the part of drawing opponents was completed by Jonan's squad leader Maeda Yuenshi. After former Master Tien Yuan took out a lottery with Jonan's name written on it from the lottery box full of participating Jonan's names, some ninjas with better eyesight showed schadenfreude expressions. Mizuki Ryosuke's opponent is Kagaya Yuta. The voice fell, and everyone took a deep breath. There is a good show to watch. Kagaya Yuta. Teru Yoruichi clan's well-deserved genius. Awakened bloodline at the age of 7, became a ninja at the age of 8, and was promoted to Jonan at the age of 16. Even Kagaya Yuta was once touted as the first genius of Mist Shinobi. But in reality, Kagaya discovered the difference between him and the simple-minded clan too early on. This is the secret that Kagaya Yuta has been keeping. On the surface, Kagaya Yuta also pretended to be naive in order to get along with the clan. But in fact, Kagaya Yuta has other ideas in mind. But all Kagaya clansmen are proud of having a body comparable to a rock, and they will always face each other when encountering enemies. Running away and using intrigue is considered a disgrace by the people. Anything that requires thinking for more than 3 minutes will be left behind by the Kagaya people and choose to follow my feelings. Such characteristics make for a very brave warrior. But it also created the current situation of the Wei Yoruichi clan. While all the clansmen are immersed in the past glory of their ancestors, only Yuta is worried about the future of the Wei Yoruichi clan. Strong Yamato pride will cover his eyes, which is commonly known as swelling. It turns out that it is not only Uchiha who are blinded by pride, but also the Teru Yoruichi clan. Kaguya's power is unquestionable, but it turns out that no matter how powerful people are, they can't resist the general trend. Kaguya's current situation in Kirigakure can be said to be a reduced version of Konoha Uchiha. Embarrassingly, the strength of the Wei Yoruichi clan seems to be somewhat inferior to that of the Uchiha. Right now Mist Shinobi is precarious, and everyone can see that change and crisis seem to be here. But this did not affect the pride and ambition of the Wei Yoruichi clan. Kagaya is the Mist Shinobi #1, which is what the Teru Yoruichi clan believes at any time. Instead, they believe that the Mizukage position seems to be just something in Kaguya's pocket. Unabashed ambition and arrogance have made Kagaya not only a thorn in the side of Mizukage and hated by other Mist Shinobi ninjas, but also a tool in the hands of careerists. But even so, the Wei Yoruichi clan is still not aware of it, and is pushing itself into the fire pit step by step. Terrible. Kagaya Yuta felt that, as the only sane person in his tribe, he had to stop this from happening. Originally, Kagaya Yuta also planned to adopt the method of boiled frogs in warm water. But as the son of the patriarch, Kagaya Yuta already knew some secrets. This lets Kagaya know that time is running out and action must be taken immediately. And all of this will start from the ordinary Jonan exam right now. Thinking of this, Kagaya Yuta smiled complacently. And this smile is also regarded by the Kagaya people as the confidence that they have winning the ticket. Snapped. Suddenly, Kagaya Yuta received a loud slap on the neck. The loud voice made everyone present look sideways. Just as Kagaya Yuta was furious, he saw the wild old face of his father, the Kagaya patriarch. This kind of action is regarded as the iconic encouragement action of the Kagaya family. Good job, Yuta. Kill that little white face. Teru Yoruichi Lang's bold voice was not concealed at all, and spread throughout the conference room. Kagaya Yuta showed a smile that was uglier than crying, then got up and went forward. Mizuki Ryosuke looked at his opponent with an extremely sturdy aura, his eyes shining brightly. A strong and burly body, a ferocious expression, and an aura full of oppression. Kagaya Yuta, once known as the first genius of mist shinobi. Mizuki Ryosuke's ideal opponent. In fact, for this Jonan exam, Mizuki Ryosuke held a more exclusive idea from the beginning. Because in Mizuki Ryosuke's mind, now is not the time to be promoted to Jonan. Even if we don't say when Mizuki Ryosuke is sure to turn over Uchiha Madara and be promoted to Jonan, the promotion at this time is a bit too eye-catching. Now. Too dangerous. But how can we avoid this danger without offending people? You know, third generation, a piece of goodwill, helped Mizuki Ryosuke to ascend, if he was easily defeated. On the one hand, it loses the face of third generation, and on the other hand, it can be regarded as a solidification of the name of Can't Help Edo, and it will inevitably be regarded as a soft persimmon in the future. This is also not in line with Mizuki Ryosuke's moderate line. After much deliberation, there is only one way, and that is to hand over an answer sheet that satisfies everyone. Try to make the game as exciting as possible. This makes sense even if you lose. The best result, of course, is to meet the strong and unwilling Jonan. But in order to deal with the current situation, Mizuki Ryosuke has already calculated the various possibilities that Vice Admiral may appear in his heart. And also thought of various countermeasures, including how to arouse the opponent's fighting spirit if he encounters Jonan of the family of the Mizuki and Mizukage factions. What should you do if you encounter a neutral ninja and the opponent throws water due to Mizukage's power? Or if you encounter parallel import Jonan, what should you do if your strength is too poor, and so on? I just didn't expect it, but as soon as it came up, it hit Mizuki Ryosuke's arms. Kagaya Yuta, Kaguya's genius, promoted to Jonan's being at the age of 16. After several years of precipitation, his strength has long been beyond the reach of ordinary Jonan, not to mention the terrifying dead bone pulse. The strength is absolutely terrifying enough. Coupled with the feud between Kagaya and Mizuki, Kagaya Yuta has no chance of releasing water. In the face of such an enemy, Mizuki Ryosuke can even show some strength a little, falsify the illusion of evenly matched, and finally lose one move. Perfect. Plan pass. This not only takes care of Mizukage's face, but also shows his strength reasonably. It won't be long before this matter is like a stone falling into the lake, and it will soon subside. What other Jonan would keep such little things in mind every day? After a while, when people mentioned the name, Mizuki Ryosuke, they would just say something like, "Oh, you said he, try that with Kagaya Yuta, the strength is not bad." Such a result fits perfectly with Mizuki Ryosuke's The Golden Mean. Mizuki Ryosuke looked gloomy and ugly on the surface, but his heart was already happy. The venue for the sparring was placed inside the Mizukage building, a special training ground reinforced by secret methods. The venue is spacious enough for the two Jonan to perform at full strength. In the field, Mizuki Ryosuke and Kagaya Yuta, who were about to fight, were already standing on both sides of the training ground, staring at each other without any hesitation. "Are you ready?" As the referee, Maeda Yuenshi stood in the middle of the two and asked a question indifferently. Seeing that the two nodded in succession, the day before, Master Yuan announced the start of the competition. The rules are simple. There are no restrictions on everything except the place where people are not allowed to die. As long as one party loses consciousness or admits defeat in the middle, the competition is over. For this new generation fate contest between Mizuki and Kagaya, all the Jonan have been waiting and watching, and some people have even pulled out the seeds from their arms. Not to mention that the two are now the number 1 and number 2 ninja in Kirigakure. The Dead Bone Pulse and Bing Dun's bloodline battle alone is already a lot to watch. It has to be said that Mizuki Ryosuke's handsome appearance, coupled with his extraordinarily youthful appearance, made all Jonan conclude that he is also a genius character. Shock. The new generation Mizuki challenges Kagaya Yuta, the fateful showdown of new and old geniuses. What's more, the title has been prepared, and the other Jonan who will attend the meeting in the future have been contacted by secret techniques to come and eat melons. Hello? Come to the Mizukage building, Kagaya and Mizuki are fighting. Yes. Come and see. This much-anticipated confrontation kicked off in the anticipation of everyone. Cough cough. Mizuki Taki, who was sitting in the main seat, coughed twice, and looked at Mizuki Ryosuke and Kagaya Yuta who were facing each other below. A hint of uncertainty flashed in his eyes. Although Mizuki Taki's ability has been criticized by the ninjas in the village, but he can sit in this position for 10 years, how can Mizuki Taki be a simple role? Of course he wasn't going to push Mizuki Ryosuke onto Jonan unprepared and make this bad move. Especially at such a critical moment, without certainty. Why is Mizuki Taki so urgent? The current scene made Mizuki Taki's face extremely ugly. It all looks like a simple Jonan exam, but what lies beneath the surface is anything but. Mizuki Taki still knows about Mizuki Ryosuke's strength. If you don't go through black box operations, it is even more difficult to promote to Jonan. But there is a saying that goes, authorities do not have to expire and be voided. As a Mizukage, it's not hard to make a almost clan a Jonan. In fact, Mizuki Taki had long anticipated that there would be problems in the actual combat inspection during the third pass of the Jonan exam, so he secretly sent someone to communicate with Motoji Maeda, who was in charge of the lottery. But who would have thought that Maeda Yuenshi promised at the time that he would arrange a suitable opponent for Mizuki Ryosuke, but at this moment he secretly gave Mizuki Taki a hand. So no one thinks that the mere drawing of lots will be fair and just, right? Ryosuke's defeat is a small thing, but Mizukage and Mizuki's glory are a big thing. If Mizuki Ryosuke's defeat is too ugly, I am afraid that someone will take the opportunity to make trouble. Rumors of Mizukage's cronyism and incompetence will immediately appear in the village. It was another serious blow to Mizukage's already shaky prestige. Mizuki Ryosuke looked sideways indifferently, his eyes first swept across Toru Yoruichiru's rough cheeks. He knew that with Kaguya's brain, it was impossible to think of such a scheme. Then he looked at Motoji Maeda, whose face was still full of majesty on his left. Although this old guy cheated on Mizuki Taki, he would never be the mastermind. There is only one person who really does it. Afterwards, Mizuki Ryosuke clenched his fists and looked at Yugura, who was casually sitting on the chair to his right, with a faint smile on his face. But now that things have happened, Mizuki Taki can only swallow the bitter fruit by himself. He knew that Mizuki Ryosuke had too small chance to win against Kagaya. For now, I can only pray that Mizuki Ryosuke doesn't lose too badly or things will never end. Unlike third Mizukage Mizuki Taki's gloomy face, Ambu Nagachi Yugura's smile was not concealed at all. Mizuki Taki, this old guy, is completely dizzy. It turned out to be such a foolish trick. That's fine, it will further undermine Mizukage's prestige and benefit the next plan. Yugura's smile grew brighter. What happened right now is just a matter of convenience for Yugura. As for the Toru Yoruichi clan, but it's just a pawn in Yugura's hands. Feeling the oppression from the strong opponent, Mizuki Taki secretly became vigilant in his heart. Principle of moderation, never underestimate your opponent, even if it is a child who just graduated from ninja school. Even Uchiha Madara will capsize in the gutter, only those who survive can continue to moderate. After some confrontation, Mizuki Ryosuke decided to take the lead with a tentative attack. Ugly Shen Mao Zi Haiyu Ugly Wu Yu Mizuki Ryosuke made 44 seals in 3 seconds with a very fast technique. Boom. With a roar, a huge amount of water suddenly appeared on the training ground. In the next instant, a ferocious water dragon rose up and rushed towards Kagaya Yuta. What? It turned out to be the water dragon bomb technique as soon as it came up. On the sidelines, a Jonan exclaimed directly. You know, don't look at the original animation. It seems that everyone can use water dragon bomb, but in reality, water dragon bomb is a real advanced ninjutsu. Even some Jonan are not proficient at master. As soon as you come up, you can use the water dragon bomb to test it. What is this style of play? Shouldn't the ninjutsu, which consumes a lot of chakra, be used for finishing? Everyone was confused. Good boy, the printing speed is so fast. Even Mizuki Taki, who was on the side, looked at Mizuki Ryosuke's hand speed, which was almost out of the afterimage, with a surprised look in his eyes. Looking at the ferocious water dragon bomb in front of him, Mizuki Taki felt relieved. It looks like killing that rock shinobi wasn't all a fluke. Mizuki Taki said in his heart. It's just Mizukage's voice, obviously no one can hear it. On the other side of Mizuki Taki, looking at the water dragon bomb in front of him, Kagaya Yuta gritted his teeth, and then a flash of determination flashed in his eyes. Let's show you the size of my Kagaya Yuta. Kagaya Yuta shouted in her heart, holding her head high. Next second. Boom. The impact of the water dragon caused a slight tremor on the ground. Afterwards, the audience fell silent. Everyone's jaw dropped. Middle. In? A ninja from the Teru Yoruichi clan said shiveringly, and Teru Yoruichi's face was even more like a wok. Everyone, whether it was Kagaya or Mizuki Ryosuke who was fighting against Kagaya Yuta, everyone was dumbfounded. After being hit by the water dragon bomb from the front, Yuta Kagaya struggled to get up slowly from the ground. Cough cough. Kagaya Yuta wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and again straightened his waist extremely straight, his head still held very high. Ha 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 ha, Mizuki. But so. Kagaya Yuta looked fine, but instead let out a wild laugh and shouted to Mizuki Taki on the opposite side in a hockey-side-leak tone. With the loud voice unique to the Teru Yoruichi clan, it is absolutely full of momentum. The disdain and arrogance in his tone made all those who heard these words tremble. Even on the side, the head of the Teru Yoruichi clan, Teru Yoruichi, who was in the spectator seat, showed a surprised look at this moment. The original black and blue complexion suddenly changed to extreme shock. Could it be? Teru Yoruichiro muttered to himself, a look of disbelief in his eyes. Mere Mizuki, why don't you make 3 moves? Kagaya Yuta suddenly said loudly, and a pair of iron palms slapped his chest with a thump. For a time, Kagaya Yuta's face became extremely hideous, as if he was about to tear Mizuki Ryosuke apart. There was a suffocating silence in the audience at first, followed by an exclamation of shock. Oh, Yuta, great work. This is the attitude of my Wei Yoruichi clan. For a time, the shouts of the Kagaya people were heard everywhere on the sidelines. They looked at the majestic figure of Kagaya Yuta on the field, and they were all excited. What kind of temperament is this? What kind of confidence is this? Even if I give you 3 tricks first, the mere Mizuki, the Yoruichi clan, can still crush it. This is what the Kagaya people read from Kagaya Yuta. Such a manly style of behavior and speech has undoubtedly touched the heartstrings of the muscle devils of the Kagaya ethnic group on the side. It's my son. Such a measure. It's my son Teru Yoruichiro. Teru Yoruichiro was speechless at the moment with excitement, and a pair of tiger eyes flashed with excitement. Facing the shouts of the Wei Yoruichi clan, the Jonans watching the battle looked at each other in dismay. For a moment, the eyes that looked at each other were full of horror. Kagaya Yuta is so terrifying. Such deeds, such humiliation, really hit the Mizuki family in all directions. Dare to take such a tactic, how terrifying the strength of Kagaya Yuta. It is known to the world that the Teru Yoruichi clan has the bloodline limit of dead bone pulse. The most terrifying thing of the Wei Yoruichi clan is their own body, and they dare to resist the water dragon bomb head-on. What kind of terrifying body is this? After all, the current Kagaya Yuta, who had just resisted a water dragon bomb, stood up and still nothing happened. Could it be that Kagaya Yuta already has the strength to chase shadow? Utachi Yagura looked at Yuta Kagaya in the field with hesitant eyes. The strength of a ninja can never be measured by age and appearance. Relying on the physical body to connect B-level ninjutsu, such a physical body, such a strength, has definitely reached the level of shadow. Could it be that the Wei Yoruichi clan really has a second cage-level powerhouse? As such, Yagura will reassess the value of Kagaya. Mizukage also looked extremely ugly, and he had already prepared for the worst in his heart. That is to forcibly interfere in this competition with authority, and stop and continue the competition. However, the fluke in his heart kept Mizuki Taki silently watching. Everyone outside the arena was full of thoughts, but the 2 people who were caught in the battle had different thoughts in their hearts. Is it possible that Kagaya Yuta has really reached the level of shadow? Of course this is not the case. On the contrary. Kagaya Yuta felt several broken ribs in her chest, and instantly felt a little regretful. But how can there be a back arrow when opening a bow? The 13 that you put out by yourself, even if you go out of your way, you have to continue to put it up. Kagaya Yuta gently wiped a trace of bloodline from the corners of her mouth, which was only a superficial phenomenon. What everyone didn't know was that a large mouthful of blood had already been swallowed by him. This trace of the corner of the mouth is just overflowing from the mouth. When thinking of Kaguya's future, Kagaya Yongta still insists in his heart. He not only provocatively loudly, but also patted his chest forcefully. Even though his face was grimacing because of the pain he patted on the wound, he was still stubborn. Oh no, Pretend 13 said something provocative. Let's make 3 moves was actually thought of by Kagaya Yuta long before he played. This is the only way to save Kagaya. How can we make the pretentious, arrogant and conceited Kagaya people open their eyes and take a good look at the current situation that is not optimistic? Persuade? Explain? These methods are all bullshit. There is only one way. This is a brilliant idea that Kagaya came up with after staying up all night. That is to completely destroy Kaguya's morbid arrogance and completely destroy Kaguya's distorted self-esteem, so that they can see the current form clearly. Just imagine. Now, at this very moment, Kagaya Yuta, who has the first genius of Kagaya, what would be the result if he failed miserably, and at the hands of his nemesis Mizuki? Toru Yoruichi clan must be ashamed, must throw away this sad glory to reflect, right? Do not. A fiasco alone is not enough, he must be defeated so vividly that he can't even lift his head up. Let's make 3 moves, and then be directly defeated is the best way Kagaya Yuta came up with. After the 3 moves, he just lay down on the ground, motionless. This will also let the Wei Yoruichi clansmen see what the consequences of excessive arrogance will bring. Do this to destroy the twisted egos of the Kagaya. As for whether he himself will be ridiculed and spurned. This is the measure of his Kagaya Yuta. What is this sacrifice for Kaguya's future? Of course, Mizuki Ryosuke didn't know anything about Kagaya Yuta's unusual thoughts. Instead, he was surprised by the strength shown by Yuta Kagaya. Jonan's strength is truly extraordinary. Mizuki Ryosuke was surprised in his heart. In fact, here, Mizuki Ryosuke's cognition has been deviated. It is true that Jonan is strong, but there is a limit to this strong. For example, the hand speed of the knots in the water dragon bomb he just showed have reached the level of Jonan or even exceeded it, and even connected 44 seals in 3 seconds, which most of the Jonan present could not do. And it seems extremely unreasonable to everyone to use the B-level water dragon bomb technique for only tentative attacks. You must know that the amount of chakra in a ninja is limited, which is a matter of talent determined at birth. Generally, the amount of chakra in Jonan, such a water dragon bomb may be exhausted after 3 or 5 chakra. Even for Jonan, such a probing attack would only require a few shuriken at most. That said, Mizuki Ryosuke overestimated Jonan's strength. On the one hand, the visual effect brought by the fact that the body is hard connected to the water dragon bomb is a bit too shocking. Let Mizuki Ryosuke mistake the first few competitions for promotion to Jonan as humanity competitions until the point. Now it is because of Kagaya and Mizuki's feud that the Kagaya Jonan in front of him is real. On the other hand, as a traverser, there are too many scenes in animation that destroy the world at every turn. According to Mizuki Ryosuke, water dragon bomb. Isn't this a ninjutsu that one can master? The trick? At least if the ninjutsu at the level of Kirin and Spiral Shuriken is a unique skill. As for the seal, of course, I haven't seen that there are only 2 or 3 seals per person in the anime, and even Uchiha Itachi doesn't need seals. He made 44 seals in 3 seconds, which should belong to the chicken level of performance. In fact, at this moment, Mizuki Ryosuke can not only easily do one-handed seals, but also release ninjutsu like water dragon bomb, which can be done easily with only 3 seals. The current performance in his opinion is already moderate enough. And based on the indifference on Kagaya Yuta's face, Mizuki Ryosuke also regarded everything just now as the true strength of his opponent. The strength shown by Kagaya Yuta also made Mizuki Ryosuke's heart a little more serious. So, Mizuki Ryosuke decided to use 1/10 of his strength to deal with the rival in front of him. As Mizuki Ryosuke's eyes became more and more cold, a bit of icy cold suddenly appeared in the air. The water splashes that were scattered just now by the attack of the water dragon bomb condensed into solid ice forms. As soon as this chill came out, all the onlookers looked solemn. Ice escape. The bloodline that flows in the blood of the Mizuki family. As everyone knows, Mizuki is serious. As an old enemy, Kagaya Yuta has naturally fought against the Mizuki clan. For the ice escape, Kagaya Yuta also has some combat experience. At this moment, but from the coldness of the opponent's release of the ninjutsu prelude, he can see that the opponent's ice escape temperature is extremely low. Different ninjutsu methods can also judge the opponent's strength from some details displayed by the opponent. For example, Kaguya's dead bone pulse can judge the strength from the hardness of the bones. Mizuki's ice escape can naturally be judged from the temperature of the ice. The lower the temperature, the stronger the freezing ability of ice done, the higher the hardness, and the stronger the damage. From this cold air alone, Kagaya Yuta knew that the opponent was definitely not easy. Come on, Mizuki's little white face. Let me see the power of Mizuki. Although his heart was a little empty, Kagaya Yongtai still refused to forgive. Seeing this, Mizuki Ryosuke is no longer holding hands. Ice escape. Flock of bird icicles. After the rapid formation of the seal, several huge icicles emerged in the air, and then quickly transformed into icebergs with a body size of about 3 to 5 meters. With a terrifying chill, the icebird galloped towards Kagaya Yuta. The moment the icebird appeared, all Mizuki's clansmen looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They had never seen such an ice escape before. Create your own ninjutsu. Not only the ninjas of Mizukage, Mizuki Taki also looked surprised. Self-created ninjutsu requires extremely high talent requirements, and not anyone can create new ninjutsu casually. The difficulty involved cannot be imagined by ordinary people. What's more, Mizuki Taki knows that Ryosuke seems to have only just decided on bloodline for less than a month. Mizuki Ryosuke can create his own ninjutsu in such a short time. Is Mizuki Ryosuke really a genius? Not to mention the thoughts of the spectators. Kagaya Yuta's eyes have been completely replaced by solemnity. He knew that he could no longer resist with his physical body. Because, will die. This move is no less powerful than the water dragon bomb just now. On the contrary, because of the characteristics of the ice escape bloodline, its lethality far exceed the water dragon bomb several times. Ice and water have completely different properties. If the body is used to resist, the low temperature above the icebird, coupled with the sharp minions of the icebird, even the dead bone pulse of the Wei Yoruichi clan will not escape death. Dead bone pulse, bone shield technique. At the moment, Kagaya Yuta's bones began to deform, and a bone shield full of barbs appeared in front of Kagaya Yuta. This time, Kagaya Yuta intends to use the power of bloodline. The icebird collided with the hideous bone shield, and the scattered ice chips flew out dozens of meters away. Kagaya Yuta's strength is still good, and the hard bone shield completely resists the impact of the icebird. But Mizuki Ryosuke's attack was far from over. The broken icebird turned into ice chips, and the ice chips reassembled around Kagaya Yuta, forming a mirror formed by 4 sides of ice, surrounding Kagaya Yuta. This is. Mizuki Taki had a surprised look on his face and recognized the ninjutsu used by Mizuki Ryosuke. It turned out to be a magic mirror ice crystal. Another Mizuki ninja sighed that this ninjutsu is a secret technique within the Mizuki family, and the difficulty of learning can definitely be ranked in the top 3. A group of Mizuki ninjas all felt that the future is terrifying. Not good. The moment of seeing these 4 ice mirrors, Kagaya Yuta felt bad for a moment. At the moment when the 4 ice mirrors condensed, Kagaya Yuta only felt that the bones all over his body were sending him a signal. That is dangerous. Under this blow, he may really die. At this moment, Kagaya Yuta still cares about hiding? After all, compared to life, any great plan has to be set back a little. Between life and pretending to be 13, Kagaya Yongta still chose to follow her heart. Dead bone pulse, Tang Song's dance. No more holding back, Kagaya Yuta immediately cast the strongest defense secret that he can use at the moment. In an instant, all the bones under the skin on his body began to surge wildly, and then the skin broke out and formed a hard defense like a stone wall around his body. This scene can't help but make one's scalp go numb. This is a feature unique to Dead Bone Pulse. In less than a second, the bones wrapped Kagaya into a gray sphere. At the same time, Mizuki Ryosuke appeared in the 4 ice mirrors. 4 icy eyes like ice looked indifferently at the gray bone ball in front of them, as if there was no emotion in their eyes. Ice escape. Extremely cold thrust, simple version, X4. The Mizuki Ryosuke in the 4 ice mirrors was imprinted at the same time, with a terrifying cold air. The bottom was about a few meters thick, but the extremely sharp ice cones at the tip shot out from the 4 ice mirrors at the same time. Thorn. As the ice pick stabbed at the bone ball condensed by Tang Songzi's dance, there was a tooth-crushing sound. Then, the sharp ice pick pierced the bone ball little by little. 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters. Until the last minute, the ice pick was about to pierce Kagaya Yuta's body. The 4 ice cones also seemed to have exhausted all their remaining energy, and at the same time burst into countless ice crystals. At the same time, the bone ball was also frozen into powder under the low temperature of ultimate, revealing Kagaya Yuta. It's just at this moment that this ambitious Kagaya young patriarch seems to be in an unsatisfactory state. The ice pick pierced into the bone ball burst, causing a large number of ice crystals to condense on his body. From a distance, his whole person is like an ice sculpture, standing stiffly in place. There is no doubt that Kagaya Yuta lost. Before everyone could react, a dramatic scene happened. Snapped. On the other side, Mizuki Ryosuke, who had just released a powerful secret technique, suddenly lay upright on the ground. It seems to have used up chakra. In the end, it turned out to be a weird draw. When the ice pick easily pierced Kagaya Yuta's bone ball, Mizuki Ryosuke had only one thought in his mind. Why? So weak. Before he could be surprised, Mizuki Ryosuke panicked when he saw that the ice pick was about to pierce Kagaya Yuta. He hurriedly controlled the ice pick to burst, and at the same time thought carefully about which link went wrong. For a moment, he seemed to understand everything. The Kagaya Yuta in front of him seems to be a parallel importer, not as strong as he imagined. Also, he seems to have overestimated the combat power of Jonan. Thinking of this, Mizuki Ryosuke broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time, Mizuki Ryosuke's heart was full of anger. He looked at Kagaya Yuta, who was half dead and was about to be frozen into an ice sculpture. His eyes were full of murderous intent. What 13 do you have if you don't have the strength? Mizuki Ryosuke, who wanted to understand everything in an instant, recalled his previous actions and complained in his heart. Originally I wanted to lose, but who would have thought to encounter such a stupid guy? In this way, everything he did before seemed to have turned into an overwhelming victory. No. Absolutely not. At this moment, Mizuki Ryosuke could only think of one way to avoid this bleak ending. That is, play dead. He did what he said, and before everyone could react, Mizuki Ryosuke was full of helplessness and lay upright on the ground, pretending to be exhausted. The scene in front of me happened too fast. To the point that even Mizukage, Chief Ambu, Chief Jonan, and Chief Kagaya didn't react. Rescue. It was Maeda Uenshi who reacted first, and he hurriedly urged Jonan, who had the ability to heal, to come forward to save people. After some investigation, Jonan, who was in charge of the rescue, came to a conclusion. Kagaya Yuta was severely frostbitten and Mizuki Ryosuke chakra was exhausted and passed out. Faced with this dramatic scene, everyone fell silent, not knowing what to say. Especially when everyone looked at Kagaya Yuta with a bit of surprise. Didn't you say that you were ready to resist 3 moves? Can't resist the 2 moves and just lie on the ground. If you don't have the strength, what kind of 13 did you install? And you, didn't you say it's not good for you to hold on for 1 more second? Just lay on the ground? Who wins this? Still a draw. Everyone, especially Motoji Maeda, who was in charge of being the referee, had extremely complicated eyes and an expression of hesitating to speak. Teru Yoruichi took his son back with a livid face, and then left without looking back. Thinking about it, I didn't have the face to continue to stay. After Teru Yoruichiru left, everyone looked at each other in dismay, and finally focused their attention on Maeda Motoji. Maeda Motoji was equally embarrassed, and it was worth kicking the ball to Mizukage's feet. 3rd generation project, how do you think it will be arranged? Hearing the sound, Mizuki Taki said slowly with a gentle smile. Since you've lost consciousness, let's follow the rules. It's a draw. Hearing this answer, everyone was a little surprised. After all, anyone with a discerning eye could see that if Mizukage insisted, Mizuki Ryosuke might not be able to win. You know, this is a battle with the nemesis Kaguya's family, and Mizuki's side has long been written about it. I'm afraid Mizukage's punishment is unfair. Mizuki Ryosuke just now won with Kagaya Yuta's move. Jonan's promotion is clearly stipulated, and they are not allowed to give in during the exam.
In my opinion, Mizuki Ryosuke should be sentenced to lose.
At this moment, Yagura, who was standing beside him, suddenly spoke up, with a sharp cold glow in his eyes. The current ending is also a bit uncomfortable for Yagura. Originally, he was ready to attack Mizukage, but he didn't expect that the guys from the Wei Yoruichi clan were so ineffective. In desperation, he could only resort to this. Mizuki Taki would do it, even if it only made him sick. When everyone heard Yagura's words, they all had strange expressions on their faces. Give in? What concession? Will Kagaya give Mizuki water? This is simply Mist Shinobi's biggest joke. But strangely, that seems to be the case. Even Kagaya Yuta can be hard-washed. But I have to admit that it seems that what Yagura said is a bit crooked. I don't think so. since there are objections, what the wolf orange said is also true. Then why don't we compromise? How about granting Mizuki Ryosuke a special Jonan? The referee Maeda Yuenshi on the side spoke again. This is also in line with the usual stance of this Jonan squad leader, between Ambu and Mizukage. Hearing this, both Utachi Yagura and Mizuki Taki said nothing. Mizuki Taki closed his eyes and thought for a moment, then opened his eyes and said slowly. Alright. Seeing that Mizukage compromised, Yagura also took it as soon as possible, and said no more. Originally, this was just a random move by Yagura, but now he can discuss Mizuki Taki, and he is already satisfied. In this way, the promotion of Jonan this time was completed with 2 ninjas being promoted successfully and 1 being awarded a special Jonan. Special Jonan, a special rank between Jonan and Chunin. Generally speaking, a ninja with such a name can be regarded as a ninja who has achieved the strength of Jonan to a certain extent, but does not fully possess the quality of Jonan. But it also counts as a Jonan level and has the right to participate in a Jonan meeting. The Jonans left the meeting separately and spread the bizarre story today. Kagaya this time, it is also a disgrace. The long battle between Mizukage and Ambu also came to an end. Everything seemed to calm down like this, but everyone knew it in their hearts. It was just the calm before the storm. Mizuki tribe. The comatose Mizuki Ryosuke was taken home as a hero. At Ryosuke's house, Lien had been waiting for a long time. Seeing Mizuki Ryosuke being carried back, her heart rose to her throat. Ask people around about Mizuki Ryosuke. A Mizuki Jonan smiled and said, "You can rest assured, Miss Ryosuke. This kid Ryosuke is just consuming too much chakra, so take a rest for a while." Mizuki Lien was relieved when she heard the words. But because Mizuki Ryosuke has been injured a lot lately, he is starting to worry again. Lien carefully moved Mizuki Ryosuke's body over and put it on her lap. Then Mizuki Lien carefully picked up the fan on one side and gently fanned Ryosuke on his knees. Mizuki Jonan, who was watching this scene, was envious. But they can only feel that they do not have such a blessing. Patriarch. Suddenly, the Jonan whispered. A thin middle-aged man with gray hair appeared in the small courtyard of Ryosuke's house at some point. It is third Mizukage, Mizuki Taki. Seeing Mizuki Taki, Lien was immediately startled and panicked, not knowing what to do. She is still aware of Mizuki Taki's attitude against her contact with Ryosuke. Father. Seeing that there is nowhere to avoid, Mizuki Lien can only bow his head and say hello. Mizuki Taki looked at Ryosuke, who was still in a coma, lying on Lien's lap. A strange look flashed in his eyes. Lien, take care of Ryosuke. If you have time, bring him to the house for dinner. After leaving such a sentence, Mizuki Taki turned his head and left. Hearing the sound, Mizuki Lien thought for a while that she had heard it wrong. After all, the attitude of Mizuki Taki's firm opposition before is diametrically opposed to this time, making Mizuki Lien even a little uncomfortable. Seeing Mizukage leave, a group of Mizuki ninjas quickly followed, leaving only Mizuki Lien and Ryosuke in the hut for a while. This puts Mizuki in a state of surprise and worry. The surprise was because Mizuki Taki acquiesced in the relationship between her and Ryosuke. The worry is naturally because Mizuki Ryosuke is still in a coma. Under the 2 contradictory emotions, the corners of Mizuki Lien's eyes suddenly became wet. A cold tear fell on Mizuki Ryosuke's cheek, preventing him from pretending to faint. Mizuki Ryosuke slowly opened his eyes and looked at Mizuki Lotus, who was wiping the corners of his eyes. The appearance of pear blossoms with rain is particularly lovable. Mizuki Ryosuke heard everything just now, and he naturally knew why Mizuki Lien was like this. When he pursued the moderate mean before, Mizuki Lien was under great pressure. At this time, her father's admission naturally made her ecstatic. At the same time, Mizuki Ryosuke also sighed inwardly. Mistakes like this should be avoided as much as possible in the future. He shouldn't let Lien continue to worry anymore. Otherwise, he would end up in a coma and pretend to be dead again and again, which would only cause Mizuki Lien to worry. Sister Lien. The faint voice reached Mizuki Lien's ears, and Lien hurriedly wiped her cheeks, revealing a flawless smile. Ryosuke. You're awake. Lien Wen's voice sounded very soft, which made Mizuki Ryosuke's heart itch a little. Next time, I will definitely not do this again. Mizuki Ryosuke stretched out his hand and caressed Lien's cheek, which was full of tenderness. Father asked us to go home for dinner, shall we go together? Mizuki Lien asked in a low voice, with unspeakable hope in her eyes. Well, of course. Seeing Mizuki Ryosuke agree, Ren's smile grew brighter. The two of them enjoyed a warm alone time. In the evening, Mizuki Ryosuke was invited to join Lien for a dinner at Mizuki Taki's house. The meaning of this meal is certainly not simple, and it even goes against Mizuki Ryosuke's strategy of moderation to a certain extent. But even so, Mizuki Ryosuke was invited to come. Not for anything else, just for Lien to be happy. Mizuki Ryosuke also met for the first time Mizuki Lien's biological mother, Mizuki Raka, a beautiful woman who still has a charm. During the dinner, Mizuki Taki and Mizuki Raka treated Ryosuke very politely. Aside from everyone's identities, the atmosphere at the dining table was a bit like the first time a prospective son-in-law came to the door. Mizuki Taki never mentions the fact that the village has become a ninja, and just greets Mizuki Ryosuke in some trivial matters of life. Mizuki Ryosuke's performance was also flawless, making Mizuki Taki's eyes a bit of admiration. After dinner, Mizuki Ryosuke voluntarily resigned, but Mizuki Taki did not stay. As the head of Mizukage and Mizuki, you should keep your distance from others. Either way, Mizuki Taki has shown acceptance towards Ryosuke. Even with Mizuki Lien as the bond, the relationship between the two should be in a gradual stage and should not be rushed. At this point, Mizuki Ryosuke and Mizuki Taki have a full understanding. In the quaint and exquisite Japanese-style courtyard attic, Mizuki Taki looked at the back of Mizuki Ryosuke's departure, and the luster in his eyes flickered. Shadow, Kunlin a village, and even the top of a country. How many of the people who can hold the position of shadow are simple roles? In the morning's Jonan exam, Mizuki Taki has already seen a lot of things in Mizuki Ryosuke's body. In the eyes of an old fox like Mizuki Taki's strength is not as simple as what he showed. Combined with Mizuki Ryosuke's age, it is definitely a genius-level figure. Thinking back on what happened to this young man recently, Mizuki Taki can basically tell. This young man is hiding clumsiness. How can there be a clan who has just awakened to the ice escape for a few days, and can create ninjutsu by himself? This is like a primary school student who has just learned mathematics for a few days and invented the Pythagorean theorem by himself. Talent is true, but again, this bloodline may have been awakened for a long time. Thinking of this, Mizuki Taki seemed to feel a mysterious veil covering the young man just now. If it weren't for the fact that he showed a little bit of cheating, Mizuki Taki didn't even realize that there was such a genius hidden under his nose. Although he sees it through, Mizuki Taki won't say it. Because he knew very well in his heart that the current situation of the Mizuki clan was definitely not very good. After thinking about it for a while, Mizuki Taki seemed to have a general idea of what Mizuki Ryosuke was thinking. This keen young man probably smelled the danger in the village, so he was reluctant to show his talent. After all, guns are the first bird, and in today's precarious Kirigakure, it seems that keeping a low profile is the best choice. It was precisely because he vaguely guessed what Mizuki Ryosuke was thinking that he agreed to Maeda Motoji's proposal to promote Ryosuke as a special Jonan. After all, being promoted to Jonan at this age is indeed too much limelight. Since this young man is not willing to stand on the cusp of the storm, Mizuki Taki is also willing to provide him with a layer of protection. Thinking of this, Mizuki Taki couldn't help but smile a little bitterly. Originally, he just wanted to operate behind the scenes and let Mizuki have one more Jonan. Fortunately, the village has more right to speak. But it never occurred to me that a pillar was found. Cough cough. After a sharp cough, Mizuki Taki looked at the bloodline in the palm of his hand, and a hint of deepness flashed in his eyes. I don't know, how long can he last? Suddenly, he turned around and wrote two names on a piece of white paper laid out in front of him. They are Ryosuke and Hidero. Which of you can lead Mizuki further? Mizuki Taki muttered to himself, his eyes gradually sharpening. In any case, as the patriarch of the Mizuki clan, he must stand on the last guard and try to create a good situation for his successors. Back home, Mizuki Ryosuke also began to think about what had happened recently. Combined with the latest information, Mizuki Ryosuke began to list the information of the master in his hand. Although the Mizuki family is now at the peak of mist shinobi, they have also made countless enemies in the village. Due to Third Mizukage's lack of control over the village has now fallen into infighting with the Uzumaki, splitting into several factions. A Jonan promotion exam has exposed enough information. Today's mist shinobi. In addition to the Mizukage faction, which symbolizes Mizukage and the Mizuki family, there is also the opposition of Yagura, Ambu. Yugura is also the strongest challenger to the Mizukage position. According to Mizuki Ryosuke's judgment, Utachi Yugura dared to challenge Mizukage's authority so blatantly. His strength has at least reached the level of shadow, and he has another hole card in his hand, which can ensure that he can compete with Mizukage head-on. I just don't know. How is Yugura's current state? Has it been controlled? Combining the original, Mizuki Ryosuke judged that Yugura definitely played a key role in Madara's invasion of Mizuki. At the same time, Jonan's squad leader Maeda Uenshi and Mizukage also have obvious differences in positions. In Ryosuke's judgment, this old squad leader should belong to the neutral faction. But combined with some details of the Jonan exam, Mizuki Ryosuke faintly felt that the Jonan squad leader may have a tendency to fall towards Yugura. This is not good news for Mizuki Ryosuke. Finally, Mizuki Ryosuke also listed the other two camps, ninja, and 7 people. It's just that the strength of these two sides did not appear at the Jonan meeting, and Mizuki Ryosuke could not judge its position. Ninja refers to other ninja forces besides Mizuki and Kagaya. The attitude of Mizuki and Kagaya, needless to say. The most important thing is the attitude of the Ghost Lamp clan. Ghost Lantern clan, the head of 2nd Mizukage Ghost Lantern Wanyue. After the fall of 2nd generation, Ghost Lantern clan gradually faded out of sight. But everyone knows that its power and strength are still good, occupying many key departments of Mist Shinobi. The unique hydration bloodline of the Ghost Lamp also makes the Ghost Lamp have a terrifying combat power in a special environment. Many small ninja clans clinging tightly to the Ghost Lamp clan, forming a good force. In the end, Mizuki Ryosuke made a big mark on 7 people. The 7 Ninja Swordsmen, Mist Shinobi's elite ninja organization. Established and developed by the 2nd Mizukage, which has now reached its peak, it is composed of 7 elite Jonan with different ninja swords, and is an extremely powerful force. The 7 teamed up to fight against an ordinary cage-level powerhouse. Theoretically speaking, the 7 ninja swordsmen only obey the orders of Mizukage, but in reality, Mizuki Ryosuke has a big question mark as to whether 3rd generation can command the 7 people. After some thought, Mizuki Ryosuke judged that the situation is still not optimistic, and he must not stand on the bright side at this moment. Steady hands, moderate to the end. The second rule of the doctrine of the mean, never exposes any of your trump cards when you don't need to expose yourself. After a pause, Mizuki Ryosuke listed the names, Ryosuke, and Lotus. Nothing could be more important than his and Leon's lives. Call. Then Mizuki Ryosuke exhaled heavily. From the world track of the original book, Mizuki, Kagaya, Ghostlights. These bloodline clans who used to be Mist Shinobi will all fall apart in the near future, leaving only 1 or 2 last descendants. Ice Escape, Dead Bone Pulse, Hydration. These abilities will gradually be annihilated in the history of the ninja world. Mist Shinobi will also complete the transition to Blood Mist. Among them, there must be a ninja's former Shira, Uchiha Madara behind the manipulation. How capable of doing great things, Mizuki Ryosuke's current reserves are enough to allow him and Lien to survive this great change. Even in the worst-case scenario, Mizuki Ryosuke is confident that he will get out of the way with the old Madara. After all, even the old Madara has the Eye of Eternity and Gedo's statue as trumps. Such a Madara can kill some ordinary cage-level powerhouses in seconds. No matter how much, Mizuki Ryosuke can't guarantee, he can only try his best to promote a good ending. After all, if it can be stable, who wants to be incognito? Everything needs to be considered in the long run. But you say reckless? It is impossible to be reckless, it is impossible to be reckless in this life. A few days later, as a ninja, Mizuki Ryosuke got a rare vacation. On the one hand, it was because half of Mizuki's team had been destroyed before, and they were in the process of reorganization and cultivation. On the other hand, Mizuki Ryosuke, who has been promoted to Special Jonan, has a new option on the mission and is still waiting to be reworked. During this time, the change in Mizuki Taki's attitude made the secret arts and resources of the Mizuki family almost fully open to Ryosuke. Seeing this, Ryosuke is also welcome, and he is open to learning the secret arts of the Mizuki family to complement his combat power. There were 2 paths in front of Mizuki Ryosuke at this point. Be the first to join Ambu and become an Ambu ninja. This is an option for every ninja who is promoted to Jonan. Ambu ninja has a higher salary than the average Jonan and the opportunity to enjoy better resources. Likewise, the level of danger and difficulty Ambu faces will increase considerably. The second reorganization of the ninja team continues to complete the task in the form of a ninja team. The new members of the squad will be selected by Mizukage and discussed with the captain. Without much thought, Mizuki Ryosuke chose the second option. Go to Ambu. This is not to send yourself to the enemy's knife. After all, Ambu's long wolf orange Yagura is Mizuki's #1 enemy. Mizuki Ryosuke didn't think so and ran off to try the hard work. Reforming the ninja team became the best option. Finally, Mizuki Ryosuke, who was practicing ninjutsu at home one day, was visited by a visitor. The visitor is Kirishima Morita, Jonan of the Mizukage confidant level. Also has a close relationship with Mizuki Ryosuke, as Kuroda Morita was Mizuki Ryosuke's captain when he was genin. At the same time, Mizuki Ryosuke encountered rock shinobi in the wild and was the quickest ninja to come to the rescue. Ryosuke, you are not bad boy. Kirishima Morita came up and rudely patted Ryosuke's shoulder a few times with his rough big hand. A gratified smile appeared on the rough face. Captain Heidao, thank you for what happened last time. Mizuki Ryosuke touched his head and thanked Kirishima Morita with a chuckle. Hi. Thank you, you kid. Right, I almost forgot. Mizukage asked me to come. This is Jonan's costume, to be worn on some important occasions, and Kuroda Morita sent some items that come standard with Mist Shinobi Jonan, as well as new ids. Yes, and this one. With that said, Kuroda Morita handed a document with information to Mizuki Ryosuke. Mizuki Ryosuke took it and started to read it carefully. It turned out that this was a ninja information with a lot of names written on it, and it was specific to the ninjutsu, abilities, and origins that these ninjas were good at. Your request to rebuild the team has been approved. These ninjas are now waiting to regroup and have just graduated from the ninja school. You can choose among them, Kirishima Morita said with a smile. This is precisely from the convenience brought by the promotion of Mizuki Ryosuke's status. Otherwise it would generally be forcibly assigned by Mizukage. Hearing this, Mizuki Ryosuke began to read it carefully. Most of the tables were genin, and some of them were chunin. From the point of view of immediate combat power, choosing chunin to form an elite squad is undoubtedly the most suitable choice. It was her. When seeing a person's name, Mizuki Ryosuke suddenly flashed a gleam in his eyes. I've chosen. Mizuki Mitsuhiko and Terumi Mei are the team members I need to add. After receiving the information materials handed by Mizuki Ryosuke, Kirishima Morita glanced slightly. Terumi Mei. Gender. Female level. Chunin good at ninjutsu, water style, fire style, wind style. Mission experience. 3 years after graduating from ninja school, the team lost more than half of the personnel, and entered the reorganization assignment, completing 22D level tasks, 8C level tasks, 2B level tasks, and 1A level task. Rating. Excellent. Background. A commoner ninja raised by the village after his parents died in the ninja war, a genius ninja born with 3 attributes. Mizuki Mitsuhiko. Sex, male level, genin. Good at ninjutsu, water style, wind style, ice escape. Mission experience. Unknown rating. Excellent. Background. The Mizuki clan of ninjas. Well, not bad. You have a good choice, boy. Kirishima Morita praised. For Kirishima Morita's praise, Mizuki Ryosuke just smiled and said nothing. Okay. I still have work to do. You kid remember to invite me to dinner next time. Kirishima Morita seemed to have official business at hand, and after a few more greetings, he quickly walked towards the door. Next time definitely. Mizuki Ryosuke smiled and waved goodbye to Kirishima Morita, then secretly found a treasure in his heart. Terumi Mei, Oni-san, a sexy and tall beauty, is also the 5th Mizukage in the future, with 2 kinds of bloodline wizards. Unexpectedly, at this moment, it is only a fledgling chunin. As for choosing Mizuki Mitsuhiko, Ryosuke already knew in advance that Mizuki Mitsuhiko was the second son of the elder Mizuki. Such a choice can be regarded as a reward for the Mizuki family, and it is also a means to show Mizukage in the family that he is close to the family. It's a political ploy. Plus the sentient ninja Takeda Yoichi, who was already in the team before. Mizuki Ryosuke's new squad is now complete. By the way, Takeda Yoichi was also promoted for his achievements in beheading rock shinobi Jonan by Mizuki Ryosuke. Promoted from genin to chunin, it can be regarded as a person who has attained the Tao and ascended to heaven. Tasks are not only the work of ninjas, but also the means by which ninjas survive. Even the ninja village itself was established on the basis of the basic business of ninja mission entrustment. Ninjas complete tasks entrusted by all walks of life in exchange for rewards and supplies needed for survival. The quest itself is actually a system that is tied to Shinobi Village. Without the quest system, there would be no Shinobi Village, let alone the era of one country, one village created by Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Even the first article of the Ninja Code has such a clear provision. The purpose of a ninja's existence is to complete tasks. Ninjas who can't complete their missions are trash. Konoha's White Fang, the father of Kakashi, is the reason for the tragedy of suicide. Also based on this, after countless explorations, a mode of completing the task with the Ninja Squad was finally formed. In the team, because of the existence of senior ninja leading the team, not only the probability of completing the task is greatly improved, but also the training of talents is convenient. Therefore, the members and captains of the ninja team are not only subordinates and captains, but also masters and friends. Unless there is a major situation, such as Mizuki Ryosuke, the team members are not easily replaced. So as not to affect the combat effectiveness and tacit understanding of the ninja team. Outside Kirigakure, a slender female ninja galloped in a direction. The girl has long, distinctive brown hair. The slightly weird hairstyle covers the girl's right eye, and the left eye exposed on the outside is shining with determination. The girl is Terumi Mei. It turned out that Terumi Mei received the latest assignment from Mizukage, and she was assigned to the ninja team led by Special Jonan Mizuki Ryosuke. At almost the same time, Terumi Mei also received an order from the captain to go to a location to gather. For this result, Terumi Mei chose to accept it. Of course, there is no way to not accept it. She has no background, she is only a civilian ninja with some talent, and she has no qualifications to refute high-level orders. Hearing the name, she already knew the identity of the captain who will be working with her, the Mizuki family. To be honest, Terumi Mei is very, very annoying to these ninjas in high places. In the face of these arrogant ninjas, I am afraid that no civilian ninja will like it. Terumi Mei could only pray to herself in the bottom of her heart at this moment, praying that the new captain would be a good guy to get along with. After a period of rushing, Terumi Mei came to the edge of an inaccessible lake. This is exactly where the assembly in the command takes place. Terumi Mei noticed that at the edge of the lake, there was already a man of the same thin build waiting here. It is even more appropriate to say that it is a boy than a man. The boy looked about 13 or 14 years old, with a handsome face and a thin body. Even in the wild, the boy is still dressed in white. Even far away, Terumi Mei seemed to have seen the arrogance on the boy's face. Terumi Mei didn't go up to talk, but waited quietly by herself. Hey, you were also ordered to come here. Mizuki Mitsuhiko glanced at Terumi Mei not far away and asked indifferently. Hearing the sound, Terumi Mei didn't bother to ignore it, and just nodded lightly. So, are you my teammate? Mizuki Mitsuhiko looked at Terumi Mei with scrutiny eyes, and his eyes revealed arrogance and contempt unique to the great ninja. Seeing this, Terumi Mei's eyes gradually turned cold. She didn't answer, she just looked at Mizuki Mitsuhiko coldly. I hope you don't hold me back. Seeing this, Mizuki Mitsuhiko just held his head high and said a word, then turned and left. Looking at Mizuki Mitsuhiko's back, Terumi Mei clenched his fists tightly. After a while, the last talent in the team was long overdue, and it was the original Takeda Yoichi in the team. Compared to the first two, Takeda Yoichi is obviously much older, and at the same time looks more stable. Similar to Terumi Mei, Takeda Yoichi is also a ninja from commoners. But unlike Terumi Mei, Takeda Yoichi's talent is not as good as Terumi Mei's, and his attributes are also a single fire. Although it is relatively rare in Mist Shinobi, which is mainly water-based, there is nothing strange about it. He was only recruited to the team by Mizuki Ryosuke because of his ability in perception. I'm sorry, I'm late. As soon as Takeda Yang arrived, he couldn't help but feel sorry for the back of his head. It's okay, we just came here not long ago. Upon seeing this, Terumi Mei also received the words, and her attitude towards this ninja who looked like a commoner was relatively mild. That's fine, that's fine. By the way, isn't Captain Ryosuke here yet? Takeda Yang said with a smile. Hearing this, Terumi Mei shook her head slightly, while Mizuki Mitsuhiko on the other side was still the old man with his head held high, and seemed to be disdainful to answer. In fact, Mizuki Ryosuke had already arrived at the edge of the lake and waited in advance. And his purpose this time was actually to examine the abilities of the team members. And in fact, the investigation has already started. When Mizuki Ryosuke gave the information to the team members, he did not directly disclose the location. Instead, they gave some information and clues to let them judge the meeting place by themselves. The first to arrive is Mizuki Mitsuhiko, which shows that Mizuki Mitsuhiko has the best talent in the interpretation, judgment and analysis of information. Followed by Terumi Mei. As for Takeda Yoichi, it is indeed the worst one. After all, compared to the 5th Mizukage in the future and the clan ninja carefully cultivated by the family, Takeda Yoichi is still a lot worse. But Mizuki Ryosuke will be content as long as Takeda Yoichi can act as the glue of the team. The next step is to start a formal inspection. The most important factor to examine is strength. Thinking of this, Mizuki Ryosuke smiled. The show is about to begin. Let me see how you do, Yoichi Takeda. 3 ninjas of different ages, identities, and strengths sat quietly a few meters apart, sitting by the lake waiting for Mizuki Ryosuke's arrival. Hesitating about the differences in identities and personalities, the atmosphere that the 3 of them saw was not a good one. Different from the pure waiting of Mizuki Mitsuhiko and Terumi Mei, Takeda Yoichi also has an additional task assigned by Mizuki Ryosuke. That is intelligence gathering. The people who need to collect information are Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko in front of them. As a teammate and old subordinate who had already died together several times, Takeda Yoichi naturally followed Mizuki Ryosuke's orders 100%. He also understood that this was also a test for him by Mizuki Ryosuke. After thinking for a while, Takeda Yang Ishin came up with a suitable idea. Takeda Yoichi, who had been sitting on the spot, suddenly got up, took out a scroll from his waist, opened the seal, and took out an easy-to-use iron pot. Then he fetched firewood on the spot, fetched water from the side of the lake, used fire style to burn firewood and boiled water. After a while, boil the water. Drink plenty of hot water. This is also true for ninjas. In addition to necessary moments or special tasks, ninjas will try to use boiling water before drinking water to avoid contracting diseases. Takeda Yangi was very attentive and handed the treated water source to Terumi Mei. Thanks. Terumi Mei took the hot water and politely thanked him. She came all the way non-stop, and she was indeed a little thirsty.
Then, after Terumi Mei finished drinking, Takeda Yoichi came to Mizuki Mitsuhiko's side and handed Mizuki Mitsuhiko the cup that Terumi Mei had used.
Drink some water. Takeda Yangi said with a simple and honest smile, but what Mizuki Mitsuhiko didn't notice was that there was a gleam in his eyes. A trace of disgust appeared in Mizuki Mitsuhiko's eyes immediately. How could he, the son of the dignified elder Mizuki, drink water from a cup that others have used? Roll. Immediately, Mizuki Mitsuhiko drank unceremoniously, and the disgust in his eyes was undisguised. Takeda Yoichi's expression immediately turned ugly. This scene was especially ugly in the eyes of Terumi Mei on the other side. Tang. Terumi Mei stood up suddenly and looked at Mizuki Mitsuhiko with cold eyes. Ha ha. What, just a petrol bottle looking for trouble? Mizuki Mitsuhiko sneered and said rudely. This time, Terumi Mei couldn't take it anymore. Drag bottle? You're not talking about yourself, are you? She retorted bluntly. What, do you want to try it? The sneer on Mizuki Mitsuhiko's face disappeared immediately, and his face became very gloomy. Just try it. The cold light in Terumi Mei's eyes flashed away. Water style. Water horn technique. Terumi Mei seals at an extremely fast speed, and spews a jet of water with a terrifying force from her mouth. In the face of Terumi Mei's sudden attack, Mizuki Mitsuhiko did not panic at all. He also quickly formed the seal and slammed the ground. Ice escape. Ice wall technique. An ice wall that just covered his body rose from the ground. Although the speed of the two's printing is far from the level shown by Mizuki Ryosuke in the Jonan exam, they are also far ahead of the ninjas of the same age. The foundation is solid. In terms of attributes, Bing Dun severely restrained water style, and Terumi Mei's water style ninjutsu naturally failed. Seeing Mizuki Mitsuhiko's ice escape, Terumi Mei frowned. That doesn't stop Terumi Mei, though. Terumi Mei quickly formed the seal again, opened his mouth and spit out a few balls of fireballs with a diameter of about half a meter, and at the same time his body quickly moved towards the back of Mizuki Mitsuhiko. Fire style. Phoenix fire technique. Several groups of fireballs moving in arcs just bypassed the ice wall and headed towards Mizuki Mitsuhiko in multiple directions. Seeing this, there was a trace of solemnity in Mitsuhiko's eyes. Boom. The explosion of flames sounded like it had completely hit Mizuki Mitsuhiko. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in the smoke, and Mizuki Mitsuhiko Terumi Mei, who was armed with a weapon made of ice, stabbed. It turned out that Mizuki Mitsuhiko used the body replacement technique to dodge the firestyle's attack. Terumi Mei pulled out the kunai from her waist and fought against Mizuki Mitsuhiko dozens of times. Seeing that melee combat was not going to take advantage, a cold light flashed in Mizuki Mitsuhiko's eyes, and the ice quickly condensed towards his legs and feet, and then he suddenly kicked out Terumi Mei. Terumi Mei turned around to parry, but was kicked away. Afterwards, Mizuki Mitsuhiko formed the seal again, and countless sharp awl-like weapons condensed on his side, and then shot towards Terumi Mei. At the same time, Mizuki Mitsuhiko was also condensing the kunai formed by the ice in his hands, increasing his strength and continuing to throw at Terumi Mei. It seems to want to use this means of long-range consumption to attack the opponent. Seeing this, Terumi Mei also had to resort to the cutting tools that she carried with her to fight against Mizuki Mitsuhiko. It's just that compared to Mizuki Mitsuhiko's ice-condensed knives, the knives that Terumi Mei carries with him will quickly be exhausted. No, you can't sit still like this. A cold light flashed in Terumi Mei's eyes, and she was no match for being done at all. The opponent's suppression made Terumi Mei breathless, and she also used the body replacement technique to avoid a wave of ice blade attacks. Then take the opportunity to hurriedly seal the release of the highest level fire style that Le can release so far. Fire style. Great eruption. A violent fire was burning towards Mizuki Mitsuhiko, just as he was about to use the ice wall to resist. Suddenly, Terumi Mei formed the seal again, and released another ninjutsu without stopping. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Under the gust of wind, the power of the sea-level ninjutsu Great Eruption instantly doubled, forming a brand new compound ninjutsu. Mizuki Mitsuhiko's pressure instantly surged several times. If he wants to defend, he can't stop it with his current master's ninjutsu. For now, there is only a silver lining in the way. Ice escape. Ice strangulation. The B-level ice escape secret technique was reluctantly used by Mizuki Mitsuhiko. Fierce ice rose and snaked from the ground, and the icicles carrying the ferocious ice thorns snaked and strangled towards Terumi Mei. Two people, this is a real fire. Seeing that it is about to end. A gentle voice suddenly sounded. Water style. Water array. The water column of the carrier's huge water pressure rises into the sky, and whether it is ice or fire, it is instantly washed away by the water column. As if they were not worth mentioning. Also dressed in white clothes very similar to Mizuki Mitsuhiko, a man with a gentle smile appeared at the center of the battle. Yes, they all look very energetic. Mizuki Ryosuke looked at Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko, who had collapsed on the ground, and said with a smile. On the other hand, Takeda Yangichi wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Not long after, a few people who had cleaned up were sitting by the lake around the bonfire. Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko turned pale, because the chakra was consumed too much. The two of them looked at the young man who looked a few years older than them in unison, wondering what they were thinking. On the other hand, Takeda Yoichi, who was sitting on the other side, was wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. After all, for a ninja like Takeda Yoichi, it is not an exaggeration to say that everything just now was a fight of gods. Not to mention the exaggerated water column, the battle between Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko made him a little ashamed. The fighting power shown by the two made Takeda Yangichi a little scared. If let these two people know, it is his intention to calculate, then the consequences. Thinking of this, Takeda Yang shuddered and immediately turned his attention to Mizuki Ryosuke, hoping to be protected by the real boss. Mizuki Ryosuke couldn't be more clear about Yoichi Takeda's thoughts. So he just nodded secretly towards Zutianyang, indicating that he didn't have to worry about it. It has to be said that Yangichi Takeda did a good job just now. Taking advantage of a trivial matter, stimulated the weaknesses in the characters of the two, stimulated the battle between the two, and achieved the purpose of collecting information. Mizuki Ryosuke, who had been on the sidelines for a long time, also took advantage of the situation to understand the capabilities and weaknesses of the two, so as to facilitate future command arrangements. For the strength of the two, Mizuki Ryosuke is still satisfied. Especially Mizuki Mitsuhiko, even as the second son of the Great Elder, he would not have such an ability without hard work. Mizuki Ryosuke is very satisfied with this, a few drag bottles and a few subordinates who can command, these are two completely opposite concepts. For Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko, the thinking is completely different. Looking at Ryosuke's handsome yet young face, Terumi Mei's eyes were uncertain. From Terumi Mei's point of view, The age of the other party will be no more than 18 years old at most, but he already has such terrifying strength. Take a peek at Madara to see the whole story. With this water style alone, Terumi Mei can clearly recognize the gap with the other party. In addition, the other party is still a ninja with the name Mizuki. How terrible will the other party's ice escape be? Having such a powerful ninja as the captain is indeed good news for Terumi Mei. At this moment, Mizuki Mitsuhiko couldn't understand, how did the other party block his ice escape with water style? You know, being done naturally restrains water style. Coupled with the fact that he is also Mizuki, Mitsuhiko has heard about this Captain Ryosuke. I have always heard that he is just an ordinary ninja with no determination to bloodline, but he does not want to have such strength. But soon, as if thinking of another man, Mizuki Mitsuhiko's gaze returned to Ryosuke from awe. It's nothing compared to that man. Thinking of this, Mizuki Mitsuhiko raised his head again. My name is Mizuki Ryosuke. You don't seem to have heard the name, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I am about to serve as the captain and lead you to carry out the mission. If you have an opinion, it's best to raise it now. But I don't think you should be deserters. Saying that, Mizuki Ryosuke smiled mildly and looked at Mitsuhiko and Terumi Mei who were facing him. Neither of them objected to Ryosuke's words. Only Mizuki Mitsuhiko pouted, still seeming to be dismissive. Ha ha ha, since everyone has no opinion. Then I'll put the ugly words first. If someone resists on the battlefield at that time, it will be very miserable. Although Mizuki Ryosuke's tone was still gentle, Takeda Yoichi seemed to have thought of something, his body shuddered unconsciously, and his eyes looked at Mizuki Ryosuke with a bit of fear. I'm fine, Captain. Terumi Mei took the lead in expressing her position, with a very determined look in her left eye that was exposed. I'm fine. Seeing Terumi Mei agree, Mizuki Mitsuhiko also hurriedly responded. It's a shame to seem to be behind Terumi Mei. After the battle just now, Mizuki Mitsuhiko didn't say anything, but he already recognized Terumi Mei's strength. Hey. Seeing this, Takeda Yang just scratched his head and smirked twice. Mizuki Ryosuke naturally would not doubt the loyalty of Takeda Yoichi. Seeing this, he nodded in satisfaction. Then in order to celebrate our acquaintance, today I invite everyone to take a break. Oh, right. Minors are not allowed to rescue, but the barbecue is enough. Mizuki Ryosuke said with a smile, with a bit of teasing in his tone. Barbecue. Hearing Mizuki Ryosuke's words, Terumi Mei's eyes suddenly lit up, and in an instant there was a bit of anger that an ordinary girl should have. Humph. Mitsuhiko still just tilted his head and snorted coldly, but he did not refuse. Not to mention Takeda Yoichi. Mizuki Ryosuke told him to go east, but he didn't dare to go west, and if he told him to beat a dog, he would never dare to drive a chicken. Okay, let's go. Amidst the laughter, the newly formed ninja team walked in the direction of Kirigakure. At the same time, a thin man with a spiky head lowered his steps and came to a call. He raised his head and looked at the trees on the left and right. After identifying it, he walked towards one of the extremely thick trees. After confirming that it was correct, he connected a few seals and slapped the ground with his last palm. The next moment, his figure disappeared on the ground and turned to an underground space. It turned out to be a gathering place for rock shinobi. The spiky-haired man who suddenly appeared was quickly discovered by people in the underground space. Master Hunter. A rock shinobi made a sound of great surprise. Where's Duff? Let him come see me. Hedgehog responded with a cold voice. But when he heard his words, an ugly expression appeared on the man's face. Duffy. Duffta. The man hesitated, with a look of embarrassment on his face. What happened? The spiky head's complexion suddenly became extremely ugly, and the hideous face was full of murderous intent. Duff. Dead. The man wiped the cold sweat from his face and said faintly. In an instant, a terrifying aura emerged from the spiky head. I want you to tell me word for word how Duff died. Hedgehog said, gnashing his teeth, and when he said the last few words, it seemed to be squeezed out of the gap between his teeth. Yes. Hearing the sound, the man naturally dare not refuse. Mist Shinobi, Ambu building. In the dark environment where he couldn't see his fingers, Yagura was whispering to a man who was hidden under a black robe. In order to prevent the possibility of all conversations being eavesdropped, the surrounding area was blocked with secret techniques. How are your preparations going? The time is almost ripe, the opportunity is fleeting. You have to hurry up. Yagura said in a low voice to the man on the other side, without the slightest emotion in her tone. Don't worry. Kari-sama has arrived from Rock Shinobi. Everything is ready. As long as your side is ready, we can do it at any time. The man under the cloak raised his head, and the bright forehead protector on his forehead could still be seen clearly even in such a dim environment. On the forehead protector, 2 square rock patterns represent the Iwagakure of the land of Earth. The hunt of the Rock Shinobi Demolition Squad. Very good. On the face of Yagura's baby, there was a smirk that did not match the appearance. But suddenly, Rock Shinobi looked embarrassed, as if he had something to say. But what? The expression on Yagura's face froze, and his face gradually became gloomy. He never expected that the other party would temporarily increase the price. Master Hunter has another unkind request. I hope you will allow it. Rock Shinobi spoke again and asked Yagura, say. This time, Yagura's tone was as cold as the cold ice of the 39 days, and there was even a faint murderous intent in his eyes. Master Hunter hopes to get the murderer who killed Stone Duff. We promise that as long as we get this person, we will never make extra conditions. Rock Shinobi replied hurriedly. Hearing the sound, Yagura's expression gradually recovered, but her voice still remained cold. Stone Duff. It's just a Jonan. Why did Hunter avenge him? Rock Shinobi seemed hesitant to hear Yagura's question, but in the end he spoke slowly. Because Duffta is Lord Hunter's younger brother. Finally, after being silent for a long time, a cold voice came out slowly. It is good. But remember, never let go. If you want to come to the famous demolition unit in the ninja world, you won't let me down. The voice fell, and a dirty deal was concluded. Little Yagura's heart is so dark, it's even darker than you. Deeper underground, a sleazy voice commented slowly. Gia, in terms of black, of course I am more black. Don't even look at my name. Another hoarse voice sounded slowly, in response to the cheap voice. That's right. But let's go and report to Grandpa. The ugly voice spoke again. Well, it won't be long before he has complete control over Miss Shinobi. With the hoarse voice answering, a monster walked out of the dark. The voice of the conversation just now came from this monster. I saw this strange-looking thing, with a human-like appearance, but with a unique organ like a pitcher plant. At the same time, the entire exterior presents 2 colors, one black and one white. It seems to be a whole, but it seems to be 2 completely different parts. It looks extremely discordant. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 monsters. Stop talking nonsense, and immediately activate the ability to escape to a deeper place in the ground. More than half a month has passed since Mizuki Ryosuke's team resumed work. During the period, with the excellent strength of the team members, the team has completed 2 tasks, which can be regarded as a certain degree of running in for the team. Because it is an elite-level team, it is naturally not like the 7th class in the original book, which does some D-level tasks of helping grandma cross the road and looking for cats and dogs. At Mizuki Ryosuke's suggestion, they completed a C-level task of clearing the bandits and a B-level task of escorting the caravan. During the escort, he was attacked by several defectors Taki Shinobu. In the process of fighting side by side, the team members got to know each other. In particular, Terumi Mei and Mizuki Mitsuhiko also gave Mizuki Ryosuke a gentle and uncontested, and extremely safe person in their hearts. But just today, the village suddenly issued a task to the team, and Mizuki Ryosuke was summoned by Mizukage. After taking over the task, the team members set off in a group. It's worth mentioning that the content of the quest is a bit quirky. Because the content is chasing and killing rebellion. Captain, why is the task of chasing down the rebellion assigned to us? On the way, Terumi Mei asked Mizuki Ryosuke incomprehensibly, with a suspicious look in his exposed left eye. Terumi Mei's problems are not without reason. The task of chasing and killing the betrayal and ninja is generally not completed by the ninja team. Because Ambu is responsible for this kind of work. And such tasks are generally very involved, and may even involve secrets, and it will never be the turn of ordinary ninjas. On the other hand, Mizuki Mitsuhiko still held his head up and seemed to be dismissive, but his ears were pricked high, and he seemed to be very puzzled by this question. Only Takeda Yoichi still had a silly smile on his face. A mission is a mission, just do it. Article 6 of the Ninja Code, do only what the mission requires. But who knows, Mizuki Ryosuke's face turned pale, and he dismissed Terumi Mei's words like an old-fashioned old man. Oh. Seeing Mizuki's serious face, Terumi Mei had to bow her head in disappointment. In response, Mizuki Ryosuke just rubbed Terumi Mei's head, looked at Loli, who rolled his eyes, and showed a gentle smile. It's for their own good not to let them know. There is nothing so simple in this. Mizuki Ryosuke seemed to recall the scene at Mizukage's office again.